Okay, I think 7:10 already. Although we have only 11 students, 12, 13. Can you all hear me? Hello? Okay, good. Yeah, so I will not on my camera that much today since the network has been very unstable. I'm on Singtel. Maybe you all saw the news. But later on, we have a guest speaker, so Dr. Gary Ang. When he joined, then we will all, he will on his camera and you guys should on as well, right? Okay, so let's get started. I think there's some questions on GPA which we can ask later, right? But let's get started. It's the last class, so hopefully you guys have learned something so far. Okay, let me show the slides. When people start streaming in as always. Okay, as just like previous global case study that I mentioned, right? The last two classes actually is quite simple to some extent, if you ask me. Okay, because we'll be looking at local case studies. Again, sit back, relax, get your drink if you have not already done so. There will be quite a lot of videos on what locally the case studies are, right? So we'll look at that. And then, of course, the last chapter, we are going to touch upon the future, right, of AI in public administration. So you can actually see what are the things that may be happening, because future means some already happened, some we are still looking at whether it's going to happen or not. Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, project. You all can see my slides, huh? Okay, so last class today. Okay, local case study. As I mentioned, there will be quite a fair bit of video. But if you do not already know, right, which I don't think so, you should know already, and that's why you are also in this class, there's plenty of investment by the government of Singapore, right? It started as training people to be familiar with AI. So there's a lot of pilot or proof of concept on AI, right, by government, which I share with you in the forum that I have attended, right, the Smart Nation Digital Office. Yesterday, in fact, I attended another event and I shared with the audience, including some of the public health people. They're quite surprised or impressed that the first use case is actually about operation efficiency. Second priority is on knowledge retrieval, and third is on citizen engagement, or in their words, patient engagement, right? A lot of people think that I want to use AI straight away. I want to go and engage the patient or the citizen. But again, as I've shared with you in previous classes, this may not be the wisest thing to do, right? You want to make sure that you do all the internal thing, get it really very good before you engage citizen or patient, right? Because anything goes wrong will go into the public news. Okay, so let's start with Mr. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, right? He just said this year that Singapore government is going to invest over $1 billion into AI development, right? So let's hear from him before we'll go through later, yeah? Okay, let me share the sound. Okay, please let me know if you cannot hear the sound, huh?
One critical emerging technology is artificial intelligence. AI is not just about ChatGPT or large language models. It is a general purpose technology, like electricity, the internal combustion engine, the computer, or the internet. It has the potential to transform a wide range of industries and to enhance productivity across many existing processes, from drug discovery to organizing warehouses or driving vehicles. Singapore is already recognized as a serious player in AI development. We aim to go further, to build new peaks of excellence and crowd in private sector investments. We have set out the plans to do so in the National AI Strategy 2.0. To support this strategy and further catalyze AI activities, I will invest more than $1 billion over the next 5 years into AI compute, talent, and industry development. Part of the investment will be used to ensure that Singapore can secure access to the advanced chips that are so crucial to AI development and deployment. We will also work with leading companies in Singapore and around the world to set up their AI centers of excellence here. We want these centers to spur industry collaboration and innovation and drive greater value creation across the whole economy. In tandem, I will allocate additional resources to catalyze investments in upgrading our nationwide broadband network. With the additional investments, we aim to enable mass market access to broadband speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second in the second half of this decade. This is 10 times faster than the broadband speed in most homes today. This also ensures that our connectivity infrastructure will be able to support technologies like AI and immersive media as they become more pervasive in the future.
Okay, anyone want to try why Prime Minister say we need to improve the connectivity? Why do we need to have 10 gigabits per second? You can type, you can shout out the answer, you can type it there as well. Anyone want to try? Again, nothing right or wrong. Get your participation marks. Anyone? Remember, just try. Nobody want to try. Remember when we say AI winter, what happened, right? You need to have the processing power, right? So definitely all your servers, high end, you need to have give the processing power so that your AI can actually flourish. But of course, with high processing power, AI means you also need to pass the information, right, to somewhere. If you don't have good connectivity, you're not going to be able to process it well as well. Yeah. And that's why while we are all saying that AI is so important, we need to have the good storage, good computing processing power, good algorithm, good use cases, blah, blah, blah. Connectivity is something that people may forget about that, and that's very important. Yeah. And of course, Prime Minister mentioned about National AI Strategy 2.0, which we'll see a lot in the later slide as well, because there's a lot of discussion on what is National AI Strategy 2.0. Okay. Now let's look at another one about AI regulations, which we have covered some as well, right, in the past lecture.
Minister Josephine Teo also discussed artificial intelligence in Parliament. She was asked about the possibility of a regulatory body and ways to mitigate the negative impact of AI. She says Singapore is working closely with global parties to explore the possibility of regulation, adding that it's important to work with these international partners to ensure its ethical implementation. Mrs. Teo adds that there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for implementing AI. Constant research is needed to build on knowledge. She stressed the need to engage overseas partners to exchange information and ideas on the topic. And that's why Singapore is working with like-minded partners, such as South Korea and the United Kingdom, to study more about AI. Singapore is also cooperating with other ASEAN countries to develop a guide for an ethical use of the technology.
Keep in mind that we cannot operate only on the basis of domestic interests. We will see the emergence of new standards, new certification, and new regulatory frameworks. The approach that we take in Singapore is to try our best to be plugged into as many of these conversations as possible. The more we share with our international counterparts, the more we are able to look over the horizon and take steps to raise our own regulatory measures in accordance.
Okay, so again, why is it so important, right, to have a regional play instead of just local play? Although we are talking about local case study, right? You will probably read from a lot of news that Singapore is actually welcoming, right, big companies or foreign players to come and contribute to our AI Verify Foundation, which you will see later. We actually launched this thing called AI Verify, right? Why is it so important? I mean, even my own companies, the Swiss company and some other companies I work in, they all contributed to this AI Verify Foundation. It's important because don't forget, Singapore is small. There's only this amount of data that we have. And what is most important for AI to be as smart as possible, you need to train it. And to train it, you need lots of data, right? We only have, what, 5-point-something million, right? Population, right? Including non-citizen and non-PR. So we don't have enough data or good quality data to get our own AI as smart as possible. So collaboration with external parties, especially foreign parties, are the most important one for us, right, to really progress this front.
Minister.
Okay. So let's look at another one, another government initiative, right? Since we're all talking about local case study, right? So just now, Prime Minister already said he recognized, of course, someone told him the importance of connectivity, which will improve the processing power, which is important as you study under your AI winter to make sure that you don't fall into another winter. Minister Josephine Teo actually say that it's important to work and welcome foreign parties or foreign companies to contribute. And the underlying reason is that we don't have enough data, right? Because we're a very small country. Now let's take a look at the third one, right? Oops.
Now, authorities in Singapore are turning to artificial intelligence to develop new tools faster to test for synthetic drugs. This is to keep pace with the rapid rise of new psychoactive substances, or NPS, around the world. Such lab-made drugs give abusers the same high as common drugs like heroin and cannabis, but are evading most traditional drug tests because of its complex chemical makeup. Aslam Shah with more.
We have just collected some urine specimen.
Kits like these are being constantly developed as the global drug scene becomes more complicated with time. These drug test kits are designed to detect specific byproducts that remain in an abuser's body after taking illicit drugs. Such urine tests are already able to detect at least 200 different individual and classes of drugs, according to this expert. But it's not enough.
Novel synthetic drugs are so novel, they're very, very new. So no test kits have been produced to specifically detect those. It takes up to 2 years to detect new synthetic drugs. For example, fentanyl was produced, and the test kits for fentanyl only was commercially available after a few years.
Currently, the test kits in the market are advanced and versatile. Just a small sample from an abuser's urine, saliva or hair is enough to get a result. They can also detect tampering by measuring acidity, temperature and other characteristics of the sample. But even these test kits get stumped when an abuser is taking new synthetic drugs. Such lab-made substances give the same high as traditional drugs, yet produces different byproducts in an abuser's body. The tests will see these double lines instead, negative. And when a new synthetic drug emerges, developing a test kit for it can take 2 years.
This will be a catch-up, and there will never be a day that you can preemptively detect things that are not invented yet or just recently invented.
The surge in production and trafficking of NPS in the region is a major concern for Singapore authorities. The Central Narcotics Bureau says it's working closely with forensic agencies on new and faster ways to test for NPS.
Okay, I'll just stop here with this one because, I mean, it's quite a long video, but basically, if I were to summarize it, which is on the left-hand side, right, and it's not just Singapore. There are many countries actually use AI for drug discovery, right? Drug is not in a negative term, but actually it's medicine, right? Or vaccination, anything that is, right? So drug discovery is a very complex process. And I mean, for those of you who may have heard, right? I work quite closely with pharmaceutical industry, and I was told that every day of savings, right? If I can launch a drug or vaccination or medicine faster, by 1 day, it saved me $1 million, right? So that's how important it is. But again, you will challenge, or you may remember, during COVID time, the vaccination come out very fast. And for those of you who do not know, definitely AI already play a part in that, right? To come out with the right composition, chemical composition of the vaccination. But of course, we hear a lot, although it's not 100% proven, but we've seen some news, right? It may cause some kind of heart diseases and all those things, right? So how good it is really to speed up the entire drug discovery process by using AI, right? This is still to be discussed. Definitely speed up, that's 100% sure. But how accurate and how good the result is, right? That is something to be seen in the next couple of years. Okay. So that's definitely one. And surprisingly, if you do not already know, Singapore get involved in quite a lot of drug discovery and development as well, right? Okay. Okay, now let's hear from Minister Josephine Teo again, right?
AI is super trendy now. What is the government doing to help us?
So 2 weeks ago, we announced that we will be investing at least $1 billion to catalyze AI activities. But to create vibrancy in the AI scene, you really need the right talent. It's a bit like Kung Fu. You need AI creators who are the Kung Fu masters like Ip Man. But you will also need AI practitioners. These are like the disciples of Wing Chun. Now you will need many AI users. These are people who know some of the Kung Fu, they practice it, they do good, and they can protect themselves.
All this AI talent, all these Kung Fu masters, where are they going to come from?
Mostly from Singapore. With AI practitioners, we are looking for people to be data scientists and machine learning engineers.
Are there any courses for me to apply to learn AI?
Plenty, and you can probably use SkillsFuture credits for them.
Should I just quit my reporter job and learn AI?
Don't drop everything, but start learning something.
Okay, so anyway, you are already in an AI course, although we didn't go into details. But if you talk to someone from AI Singapore, right, to say, oh, I want to be a AI person, I want to go and learn Python, learn R, right? If you have heard from a very senior management of AI Singapore before, you say, yeah, these are what probably happened for the past 3-4 years. But moving forward, later on, I will test you what do you think is the most important and popular job in future, right? But with a lot of Gen AI capabilities, right, you may not really need to learn all the languages anymore, right? As I mentioned in the first class, right, AI, the future of AI is not how good you program things, right? It's really developing some of this algorithm and use this word called prompt, right? Prompt engineering is something that's important, right? You need to ask the right question, and that needs a lot of business, domain, operation knowledges, okay? But anyway, this is just another proof to show that there are plenty of government investment, whether is it for education, skill development, getting people totally new in technology or AI into AI field, right? And of course, there's a lot of research and innovation grant for that as well. Okay, so Singapore is really spending a lot of money to nurture AI talents. Okay. So let's look at some of the talents who tell their story. So again, if you do not already know, I've shared a few times as well, and you may have heard, AI Singapore is an organization, right, within NUS itself, which I also teach in NUS, right? But of course, they are not kind of part of NUS, right? Although one of the head was my ex-dean of School of Computing in NUS, okay?
I started out as a researcher, but over time, I began to wonder about life beyond the lab. I started searching for purpose in other parts of my life. Something different, something transformative. That's when I discovered the answer, TESSA. TESSA partners with companies to develop fresh and mid-career professionals in tech skills. I took on a TESSA program with Visa, a global payment solutions company, where I was placed on the fast track to a tech career. It was intimidating at the start, especially when everyone in the team seemed light years ahead of me. It felt like a race where I was crawling, while everyone was speeding past. But I told myself, I can do this. I dedicated myself to the structured program by Visa, from online learning to external courses and on-the-job training. Experienced mentors were always there to support me. Soon, I began to understand the flow of code that seemed foreign before. I even successfully built a test drive portal from scratch for my team. I had finally found what I was looking for, to make a difference at Visa and the lives of others through tech.
Okay, so this is a TESSA program, right? But for Visa, the credit card company, right? And of course, she actually learned AI as well, right? So again, okay, I'll come to it later. Let's look at another video.
Hi everyone, I am Wan Rong. I'm currently an account executive at ServiceNow. I am also a fellow participant of AI for Everyone. Yeah, so a fun fact was that I was previously from the Ministry of Communications and Information, where I was part of the project team that supports the launch of AI Singapore. And it was really because of that I decided to walk the talk, because honestly, I have very little or like zero domain knowledge about AI. So I really wanted to see how AI Singapore is really benefiting the rest of Singaporeans. And for me personally, I really want to acquire that fundamental knowledge of AI. My objective is to gain fundamental knowledge about AI and to understand how AI will complement me in my personal life. So now that I have my fundamentals set, I would like to proceed to take on the AI for Industry course. And there are two reasons behind it. The first one is because I'm genuinely curious to find out about how AI really works and how it really impacts the world. And secondly, it is because I want to be able to articulate the concepts of AI better. So one top misconception I had about AI was that AI can only be learned by top AI scientists or data scientists, and that is also the reason why I took so long to finally sign up for this course. But I would say better late than never. Everyone should join AI for E and AI for I, because AI and smart technologies are everywhere around us, and so why not learn something about it? And besides, the course is free.
Yeah, so you can do AI Singapore, right? I've also taken that AI for everyone is quite easy to learn, right? So whether you are technical or not technical, okay?
Hi, I'm Barnabas. I'm currently an analyst at Nomura. So I'm firstly a financial controller, and secondly also an automation expert within my team, helping to automate workflow processes in our daily work. I started out at Nomura as a trainee in 2020. Right, as my company was actively involved in digital transformation, my boss at that time suggested that I could consider taking up AI for I or AI for Industry as a way for me to get a good foundation to meaningfully contribute and participate in the initiatives that my company is undertaking. After going through this course, I'm much better able to communicate between the business and tech teams. So a lot of my learning for data science was very experimental, in the sense that I would take the data and just play around with it on Excel or R until it looks usable. Right, so that was very not rigorous. However, now that I've gone through the course, I have a better understanding of the process and the tools that are required to get data up to speed. As such, firstly, I'm better able to communicate when I'm working from home between the different teams. Secondly, I can also translate our business requests into something practical that the IT team can act on. I'm actively participating in digital transformation in my role right now. These are mainly workflow optimizations, an example of which would be preparing financial data for MAS submissions. Right, these new MAS submissions require more reports and more granularity in the data submitted. As such, these workflow optimizations that I help build reduce the number of man hours and also add in control checks, thus reducing the risk of manual errors. Right, so with these new skills that AI for I has given me, I am very excited to try and push out new codes in my role. However, my company will have practical concerns such as that about data infrastructure, ethical AI practices, AI governance, which are all something that I'm trying to learn more about in order to address these concerns they have about applying this or implementing this in a regulated environment. The hardest part for me in the AI for I course was the first few modules, where I had to learn how to use Python, understand the use of the various packages, and learn how to manipulate data within them. This was a lot more structured and rigorous than the trial and error methods that I would use previously in my own learning. Right. However, once I overcame this, progressing through the other elements of the course, such as model validation, data exploration, and the deep learning modules, were made much smoother and easier. My first misconception was that AI was this mysterious black box process. Right, after going through the course, I now know of the processes that go into preparing the data, splitting it for training and testing, and then finally deploying the AI model. My second misconception was that AI was this magical tool that you just threw at problems. However, I now know that you need good data in order to get a good result, which I previously took for granted. Firstly, I think that AI for I is well structured. You just have to follow along and you will naturally build up competency in this area. Secondly, I think AI for I will also help you understand concepts behind the buzzwords that are thrown around the news nowadays. Lastly, I think AI for I exposes you to cool ideas and that hopefully sparks inspiration on how to apply AI or ML in your area.
Okay, so hopefully you learn with your fellow learner as well, yeah? One more video.
Hi, I'm Barnabas.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Dad, hurry up.
Let's go. Hi, boss.
Upskilling can feel challenging to start, but with personalized skills consultation, financial support, and short, flexible programs, we're making it easier for you to start upskilling so you can be skilled for the future.
Okay, so there's plenty of government schemes and support for the development of AI talent, yeah? Okay, sorry, a lot of video. And one of the things that don't just watch video for the sake of watching. So remember your GBA, your group-based assignment, right, that you will submit by the 6th of November is actually a video recording of you. Imagine you are from Ministry of Health of a fictitious nation or country. You present to launch something, right? AI-based kind of a health system for various reasons as stated in the assignment. So imagine how you want to do your video, right, to be impressive, right? There are many examples here that you can look at. You can be a minister, Josephine Teo type. You can be a Prime Minister Lawrence Wong type, or you can be some of this nice video, right? Think about that, yeah? More references for you.
Digital government. Now, what exactly does this mean? We see digital government as one that is digital to the core and serves with heart. From the way we are run to the way we think about plans and processes, we're constantly embracing new and better ways to plan, operate, and serve our citizens and businesses in a better way. You might ask, how? Well, it's by making sure you can interact seamlessly with the government. From accessing your digital identity to applying for a flat and paying taxes, we have digitized many physical processes and built digital services around your needs, while not forgetting the human in digital. After all, tech should always serve us, not the other way around. So we are freed up to focus on things that matter most. Citizens too can get involved in our digital government. After all, it's not just about apps, digital infrastructure, or integrated systems. It's also about the community, the relationships, and the connections we build. Digitalization isn't an end goal in itself, but a wheel that is always in motion. How we enhance our lives can be a complex code, and technology means nothing if we don't apply it for the public good. We are here to serve with heart. No matter where you are or who you are, you can be empowered by your ideas and our infrastructure. Fashion your dreams out of new tools and thrive in this smart city we call home.
There are some very good terms here that you can pick the brain, like tech for good, technology is to serve us, right? So they can spend time to do more things. So when you do your recording, of course, you can do a normal presentation, but it will be more fun and test your creative juices, if you can do something like this. You look at how Minister Josephine Teo said just now, right? It's Kung Fu, it's Ip Man, it's whatever, right? You need to relate because, you know, in the modern government, you cannot do the normal British Queen English way. I mean, not that you cannot, you can, but of course, in a Singapore context, right, because it's a fictitious nation, right? In your assignment, you can choose what it is, right? Maybe someone who is very strict and serious, right? But if you look at it from a Singapore context, even minister have to link to the Kung Fu, the Ip Man, the Wing Chun, and all those things, right? So Tech for Good. If you are connected with me on LinkedIn, you should see that Monday, Tuesday, I was at this health insurance congress, which the whole theme of the 2 days congress is all about AI and data. And I presented what is the next in for Gen AI in the health insurance industry, right? So, and I remember there's a Japanese speaker also. He actually said, people are so afraid of AI. AI is going to affect job and do this, do that, do harm, right? But if you know Chinese, right, treat AI as in I. I means love in Chinese, right? So again, these are some of the things that you read more, you can pick some of this brain, put into your presentation, make sure that it's convincing to sell to the government as well as to your citizen later on. Yeah.
Digital
Okay. Another one, Smart Nation. I'll skip this one, right? It's also another thing about smart transportation and everything, right? But you can read, you can look at the video yourself, right?
In a world.
Let's move to the next one. Right, so these are just some slides, and of course, I'm not going through every one of that, right? It's not 100% AI related, but some of this will be powered by AI, right? And this is part of our Smart Nation initiative, yeah? Okay, so same thing, there are many, right? With the launch of all the SUSS SG, Redeem SG, right? For your CDC voucher and all those things. So we kind of I'll say indirectly push the nation, right? Even as hawker, right? So I use the CDC voucher a lot. They know how to launch their Redeem SG, right? And all those things. AI Verify is the one that I say my companies are also involved, and many foreign companies are also involved to contribute their different tools and framework into developing the AI Verify Foundation. Yeah. Okay. Now let's look at another one that these are some of the interesting ones that are use cases specific rather than saying how much government is going to spend and in what area and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Founded in 1871, Continental develops products and services for safe, efficient, and smart mobility. So here in Continental Automotive Singapore, we have a business area user experience, and they develop very interesting products for the automotive. These are instrument clusters and displays, and they show a wide range of images and information for the drivers. In order to test the correctness of the information, our testers have to spend a lot of time verifying the requirements with the end product. Hence, the business challenge for this project is to find a more faster and reliable way to do testings for such kind of products. Continental Automotive Singapore partnered AISG to develop a state-of-the-art AI model based on computer vision. This AI model effectively and efficiently verifies the layout and interface of the instrument cluster display against the customer's requirements. So with this AI model, Continental system testers were able to achieve higher test quality, achieve higher comprehensive test coverage, and save more time. In the end, hundreds of test hours were saved. So one of the major challenges we face is on the domain knowledge of the apprentices. As all the 4 apprentices were new to the automotive industries, so they don't have the background knowledge of automotive. What the team did was to provide trainings and organize seminars and workshops to equip these 4 apprentices with knowledge of the automotive industries. So with this knowledge gain, they were able to overcome this challenge of the requirements and develop a very good AI algorithm. So at the end of the project, the team was successfully able to integrate the AI algorithm into the test environment, and this achieved the desired test results. So while the AI solutions has been deployed in trial projects, we now have the capability to deploy it into customer projects. So after the project completion, Continental presented AISG with an appreciation plaque during a milestone appreciation ceremony. So we aim to deploy these AI solutions to a newly awarded projects. Besides that, we also want to share these solutions to the worldwide development team of Continental. So overall, it was a fantastic experience. The management team of AISG was very professional and they are very supportive towards the whole engagement with Continental. Secondly, the project team, the apprentices, they were really hardworking and take the best effort to work closely with the Continental engineers, and this resulted in a great piece of AI algorithm. So of particular mention is the comprehensive documentation done by the AISG team. So with this good set of documents, this allows Continental to fully understand the developed solutions and enable us to integrate it fully into our test environment.
Okay, so this is an example which is very good. Smart mobility is one of the key things that Singapore government is actually focusing on. In fact, one of my own company's partner is also working through a Japanese company with LTA on some kind of a smart traffic control as well. Yeah. Okay, now let's look at the other one, which is also very interesting in the medtech related ones, which I do a lot of medtech, but this one is under Q&M Dental Group, which you may already see quite a lot of them in MRT, in shopping malls and others. Yeah?
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of EM2AI. EM2AI is a medtech startup and we are part of the Q&M Dental Group. We focus on the development of healthcare software, applications, and AI technology for dental industry. For dentists, it's the risk of mistreatment due to lack of clinical decision support plan and also no standardized treatment plan. Time is also another challenge. Currently, the dentists are toggling between a few systems: EMR, X-ray, and also patient management system. Undetected pathologies may result in more extensive treatment and higher costs. An AI model was developed to detect OPG X-ray for dental conditions. They are tooth numbering, caries, perio, and missing teeth. The project lasted for 9 months, from September 2019 and ended June 2020. We have deployed the AI solutions to more than 150 dental clinics in Singapore and in Malaysia. The biggest challenge is to hire the right tech talent during the pandemic when there is a tech talent crunch. Secondly, assemble a domain expert team and believe that AI solutions are able to solve the user pain point. I look for domain experts from ex-Q&M staff, include dentists, to design and build AI solutions, headhunt the techpreneur to start the tech team, and AISG impart us the Agile Scrum methodology in product development and train up AI team.
My name is Raymond. I'm a dentist by profession. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Q&M Dental Group and also Executive Director of the group. Dental charting forms part of the basic dental notes in all patients' examination and diagnosis. It's required for things like MediSave claims and CHAS claims. The dentist has to run through each tooth one by one, recording down all the findings. The nurse next to her has to write down step by step all the things that the dentist say, and this is a tedious process. All it takes is one press of a button and I get my full dental chart. The AI solution is incorporated within the IDMS system, which we are already using to key our patient notes and also the medications and charges. All the dentist needs to do is just to check for accuracy. This saves me so much time, effort, and it's a very productive solution.
My name is Lawrence. I'm Director for AI Innovation in AI Singapore. So the 100E or the 100 Experiments, right, is a program designed to accelerate the adoption of AI by companies, by government agencies, startups, SMEs here in Singapore. We help them by co-funding their AI projects and basically assemble an AI engineering team to help them solve their AI problem. The apprenticeship program is a program where we bring in Singaporeans who have already taught themselves AI to a certain level of technical competence. So during the apprenticeship program, they'll be in for 9 months. It has generated tremendous interest among companies and Singaporeans because companies are now able to get their project delivered quickly, and they also have opportunity to hire these apprentices.
First, AISG has a very stringent AI apprentice selection criteria. Capability is assured. Second, we work well with the 2 AI apprentices who were involved with 100E, and we believe they are the best people to continue our project.
The whole idea is to get them to deliver a production quality AI model in 7 months. Our stakeholders have asked us to double the number of 100Es, double the number of apprentices. So we are trying our best.
I'm Sing Yi, an AI engineer in EM2 AI. When I was a kid, I already been fascinated by computers and wrote my very first console program in a PC running Windows 3.1 back then. It was then I decided to pursue the IT route as a software engineer. I was glad that I had the opportunities to study IT throughout my tertiary studies in both local polytechnics and university. During my time in AIAP, I was working on this AI model, and I was glad that I'm able to continue when I joined EM2 AI as an AI engineer. The most significant part of the journey is to be able to deploy this model to the clinics where the dentists will be using it, and to continue working on the model based on the dentist's feedback. EM2 AI has a great vision in improving the quality of dental care for patients through the use of AI. For example, the AI could diagnose and recommend treatment plans for patients with the use of computer vision and data analytics. It is a win-win situation to join the project sponsor, as this will be a great opportunity to scale the project to a new height, as both the apprentice and project sponsor have already built the rapport and learned a lot from the project. Apprentices will also find themselves having more opportunity to work even closely with various stakeholders. So my advice is to prioritize your learning needs above all your other commitments, regardless of how little time you have. And when you think you're ready, technically competent, and mentally prepared, just hit the apply button and never look back.
The AISG team was very professional and supportive. They effectively managed the project and timelines, keep them on track, while also providing us a regular and clear progress update. As a young startup, we model after them to build our product. I want to thank AISG team for their full support.
Okay, so again, this is not just another video, right? We choose every video for a reason. So when you do your GPA, right, are you going to say that you have a program, right? Whether it's apprentice to testings or you have 100E, right? So this is again for you to do up that fictitious case study on how you want to justify and convince the parliament, the minister, the prime minister, the board, the citizen about what you are going to launch, right, as part of your GPA, right? So there are some keywords here again. 100E, you can create something similar. Apprentice program, right? Why would that dental group believe that they get the best out of this program? So these are things that for your consideration. Yeah, you will see that there's a lot. Of course, you cannot cover everything, and don't try to cover everything, right? Because sometimes less is more, right? But you need to build your storyboard, your storyline very clearly, right? And these are just many examples for you to decide which one you can pick the brain from, right? And put into your storyboard, yeah? Okay, so another one, that's why this last week, 2 weeks ago, the global case study and this local case study, and then the future AI, these 3 chapters help in your GPA itself, yeah?
Singapore General Hospital, established in 2021, is the largest acute tertiary care hospital in Singapore and amongst the world's best. We are from the Histopathology Laboratory under Department of Anatomical Pathology. Histopathology is a field of study that involves examining under the microscope tissues and cells to understand the abnormalities and changes that occur in diseases. We want to use artificial intelligence to study a relatively common breast tumor or growth called fibroepithelial lesions. These usually present as painless lumps in the breast. Distinguishing between fibroadenomas and phyllodes tumor can be challenging because of overlapping features, and yet they have different clinical management. It is hence very important for the pathologist to carefully examine the lesion under the microscope to distinguish between fibroadenomas and phyllodes tumor. In SGH, we have the capability to readily produce high-quality, high-resolution slide images, which is also called whole slide images. This is done by digitizing the glass slides with tissue samples that is cut into thin sections mounted onto the glass slides. This digitization capability allows us to build a strong foundation which is important for computer analysis using artificial intelligence. We developed a computer vision model to analyze the whole slide images to distinguish between FAs and PTs. This first of its kind model has two stages.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute one of your classmates.
The first stage will generate smaller image patches from the large whole slide images to identify the characteristics of the two types of lesions. In the second stage, the computer analysis are then combined to look at the arrangement of these smaller image patches and then to produce the predictions of whether it is FAs or PTs across the entire whole slide image. The AI solution acts as a second eye and works alongside the pathologist. The pathologist will incorporate the results of the AI analysis into his own assessment and allow a more comprehensive evaluation of the biopsy sample. This will help the pathologist actually improve the diagnostic accuracy, reduce human errors, and improve the diagnostic efficiency. The AI model produces a diagnostic accuracy which is overall about 87.5%, with 80% and 95% accuracy in distinguishing FAs and PTs respectively. Our preliminary findings assess that about 5 minutes are required for model inference as compared to 15 minutes required for initial evaluation by a pathologist. This may bring significant cost savings, reduce the need for surgical management, and reduce the anxiety of the patients. In histopathology, obtaining a large number of high-quality, well-annotated data can be challenging. We are fortunate to have a strong foundation in research on fibroepithelial lesions that allow us to readily accrue the materials required for digitization. As the timeline is short, we need to work closely with AI Singapore to come up with an efficient data annotation pipeline. We are able to achieve the initial objectives of the the inner workings of the model through the technology, which is a reputable journal in the field of pathology. We had a very positive experience working with the AI Singapore team. As pathologists, we bring expertise and experience in interpretation of histopathology samples, understanding disease process and the clinical implications. On the other hand, AI Singapore team possesses expertise in machine learning, AI algorithm development, and data analysis, and they also bring in the experience in project management to bring the project to fruition. I think we have been able to combine our strengths synergistically to meet the objectives of the project. We are also pleasantly surprised that the AI algorithm could be developed within a relatively short period of time with high quality of output. We are currently discussing and working internally and with potential external partners to see if we can package the solution into a program that can be readily deployed in not only our laboratory, but also in other laboratories in Singapore as well as the region.
Okay, so, Okay, so again, although I've been in healthcare for quite some years, I'm sorry to also say that I don't know what's fibroadenomas, right? I can't even pronounce it properly. So you're not expected to know all these details, right? But again, if you look at some of the keywords or key phrases here, right? AI solution act as a second eye for pathologies, right? So again, we are not overly reliant on AI, right? And what AI is good at is computer vision, right? It can do model analysis, right? It can identify patterns, right? So these are some of the things that you can consider if you want to consider something similar in your GPA. Okay. So again, I will not be able to go through all these details, right? You can actually read up more if you are interested, right? Singapore National AI Strategy 2.0, right? Improve public service productivity. You have something from Korea, there's something from Canada as well, right? So this is something that you can take a look. Okay, so as I mentioned, National AI Strategy 2.0, which Dr. Gary Ang will also talk briefly about later on, right, is actually the framework that we are following today in Singapore, right? Things may change along the way, right, but at least this is currently what we're focusing on. So if you look at some of the selected fields, right, and again, you can pick some of this and create your fictitious national AI strategy X.0, okay, when you do your GBA, right? You can choose, again, what areas you want to focus on in our national AI strategy 2.0, right? You have three key areas. One is people and communities, one is infrastructure and environment, the other one are the activity drivers. And under people and communities, you have talent, right? And you heard already from Minister Josephine Teo, we want to attract world top AI creators, right? We want to boost additional AI practitioner pool, right? You have the AI user, AI practitioner, and AI expert, right? In her words, right? Capabilities, right? You saw already AI for I, right? AI for industry. That's the program that AI Singapore actually has launched as an example, right? Then of course there's placemaking, right? Then under infrastructure and environment, you need to have the compute power, you need to have the data, you need to have trusted environment, right? And of course, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong also say compute power, you need to have good connectivity, yeah? Activity driver, again, you need to have use cases, right? In the research area, in different industry use cases, yeah? So this is where we kind of anchor our national AI strategy, and you can come up with your own for your GBA, okay? So this one will not go through detail, but again, from what you have heard from some of the videos just now, regional hub is always a key to attract people to come. And as I mentioned, one reason is that we don't have enough data, right? We are small country, small population as compared to many, and as many good quality data that you can get, then your AI can become more smarter, yeah? Collaborative partnership, right? That's why we have all the industry partnership. You saw the case study from Continental just now, right? And some others, the Q&M Dental Group, yeah? Ethical use of AI, right? Ethical leadership, that's what's been discussed over the past few lessons as well, yeah? Okay. So again, we probably won't spend too much time discussing because later on at Dr. Gary Ang's session, he will ask you some questions, you can ask him some questions, yeah? But something for you to ponder and think through, right? Singapore National AI Strategy aims to drive economic growth, right? But there are also concerns about ethical implications, and we already discussed many of that, right? Job displacements, bias, privacy risks, right? So think through, and you should reflect this thinking in your GBA. How do you balance, right? Because when you present your GBA, your parliament, your citizen will have doubts, right? So how do you convince them to balance that? Yeah, so something to ponder about. Okay, then in the last few slides, I'll cover something that not local case study. This will actually set good stage as a summary of what we have learned so far for AI in public administration. And also, you can see some of these challenges are being addressed in the future of AI, right? So future of AI is not, oh, I just come up with more use cases and, oh, I look at what's the latest technology called 6G, right? Then I will have something. These are maybe one part of it, but the future of AI is also about solving problems and challenges that we are facing today, right? Okay, so some of the challenges of using AI in public administration, right? Definitely, if you look at this model, should be something very similar or familiar to some of you who study business, right? It's called a PESTEL, right? PESTEL usually, right? It's the external environment scanning and analysis capability, where PESTEL, right? You will look at it from political, economic, technology, right? Social, right? Environmental, right? Some people may say ecological and legal perspective. So that's the PESTEL framework. And some people call it PESTER, some call it PESTEL. The R can mean regulatory, L can mean legal. Yeah. Okay. So of course, there may be political challenges, right? We studied the 6 political systems in one of the earlier classes, right? And we say how AI can flourish or cannot flourish in each of this political system. And of course, in your fictitious nation, right, you should contain your argument in certain form, right? The clearer that you have defined what is the nature of this fictitious nation, the easier you can convince, right, the marker that, okay, your policy or your AI systems is the best, okay? So political challenges, right? Depending on the political systems and situation, it may impact, it may hinder the development and the adoption of AI. It may also help. Okay. Social challenges, right? Demographic changes, aging populations. So these are some of the things that is also impacting AI. Technology for sure, right? Whether is it Prime Minister saying that you need better connectivity or all the data risks in a cybersecurity manner. These are some of the consideration as well. And economic challenges, right? So again, we invest so much in AI, but if we're not getting the ROI, are we going to stop? Are we going to reduce funding? So this may be challenges, right? And Singapore is actually quite lucky and blessed to have so much money to invest. I'm working with European companies as well. Europe, apart from all their GDPR and your data privacy and security consideration and risk, they themselves are not doing very well economically, right? So they also have limited budgets to invest into AI, although they see the importance. Yeah. Of course, environmental challenges like climate changes, you may not see it directly impacting the adoption or the development of AI, but it does have challenges because, right, one of the key things that if you have not thought or heard about that, AI need high processing power and they need big data center. Big data center need a lot of energy. And a lot of people say, oh, we want to develop AI, but developing AI means that you're not environmental friendly because you're going to build big data center, which needs a lot of energy, and it is not going to be green. Okay, so that's some of the consideration. You can easily Google or ask ChatGPT. They will tell you what is the impact on environment by fast tracking AI adoption. Okay. So factors that drive the need for AI for public administration, we already discussed. So this, I would say that it probably is a recap, right? So data-driven decision-making helps to make policy better, supposedly, right? Enhance service delivery through either optimizing the resource allocation or maybe even doing a good sensing of the social sensing of the citizen sentiment, or doing a better 24/7 support for citizen engagement, right? So definitely enhance service delivery. Improve efficiency and accountability, right? Ethical use of AI, transparency, right? All these things will help to drive the adoption and acceptance. Addressing complex challenges, right? So we have seen in some use cases in the past lectures, right? It can help to predict climate changes. And during COVID time, right? Disease outbreak, even my own company, I was involved in using AI to do the pandemic disease prediction, right? Which area is most likely to be impacted, okay? And of course, economic growth, it can help with the innovation that's coming up, okay? So this is the framework, the PASTEL framework, right? I'll just kind of stop this slide, although I put in a lot of example in the appendixes, right? But that's more for your reading, right? We wouldn't have time, but that's something good. Again, I mentioned in the last lecture, we have teach you about a case study framework, right? There's one framework. For your GBA, you can decide what framework you want to use or your own framework, your own research, but we have provided a case study framework and now a PASTEL framework. So let's say when you launch a AI health system / policy / capabilities for that fictitious nations, you may or may not want to use a PASTEL framework to support your justification and your argument, right? But PASTEL, as I said, political, economic, social, technological, ethical, or it can be ecological, it can be environmental, legal, or it can be regulatory, right? So these are some of the things that you can consider when you launch an AI initiative. Okay, so as I mentioned, I will not go through the next few slides, but they are very good, detailed, jumping into what is under political, right? What are the considerations, like government policy, regulations, geopolitical tensions, right? Then we also give you examples of how local companies or institutions are doing that, right? Then we go into the legal side of things, right? Of course, PDPA, intellectual property law, and many others. Then we give an example as well, right? So I will not go through all the details. You can read, right? But this is quite a comprehensive framework considering quite a fair bit of things. Yeah. So this is actually all about it, right? Entire PASTEL. There's some video for you to take a look as well. Okay. Okay. Hopefully You are clear and no question on this? Okay, the slide has already been uploaded. You can take a look at that. Yeah. Okay. Any question? Nope. Okay. So maybe we take a 5 minutes break, right? We started a bit late and we still have one more chapter before Dr. Gary Ang comes in. So if you don't mind, have a quick toilet break, grab your drinks or food, right? Let's come back at 8:15. Okay. Okay, Rajiv, you want to ask now or you want to ask after the class? Okay, maybe we'll come back after 5 minutes then. Okay, let's come back. Okay, let's get started. Let me pull out my slide for chapter 12. Okay. Okay, so the last chapter, okay, finally, after 6 lessons, 12 chapters, and 2 assignments, right, we're coming to the last part of our course, AI and Public Administration, right? So in this chapter, we will, of course, do a quick recap of what we have learned that are important here, and also look at some of the future development or future challenges in AI, yeah? Okay, so a quick recap, right? This is in one of the earlier chapter already, and just now in chapter 11, we also have seen, right, things like why is AI used in public administration. I show you again and again. I actually say in a conference yesterday also, right? People are quite impressed that yes, our first thing is really to ensure operation efficiency, right? Which it can fall under the improve efficiency and automation and enhance delivery side of things, right? So this is definitely one thing. Auto appointment scheduling, renewing license, form filling, these are all operation efficiency, yeah? And in healthcare, since your GP is about health, so you'll hear from Dr. Gary Hang later, right? But again, as I said and share with you already, during COVID-19, when I was helping in the community care facilities in Expo, right, we actually do RPA, robotic process automation, which is part of a small AI, right, to actually help in getting all the data entry for the foreign workers and people who are warded there. And then, of course, using AI alerts and others to do probing, as well as nudging of them to do their vital sign monitoring every day. Yeah. Okay. Then, of course, data analysis and decision making. So you always hear about this data-driven organization thing that everybody's saying that they want to be or they are already one, right? Definitely, AI can help to identify pattern, right? Trendings, and then help to provide suggestions, right, to do decision making. Client engagement, citizen engagement, patient engagement, as I said, right, just now, right, whether is it social media sentiment analysis or engaging them 24/7, giving nudges, giving proactive health management, giving suggestions. This is what can be done. But again, do we want to do it upfront? Is something that you think about as well, okay? So example, we covered public safety, healthcare, and many others. Okay, so let's look at some of the selected industry, right? For some of the example that AI has transformative impact. Healthcare, my areas that I'm most familiar with. You already saw drug discovery just now, right? That we shared. You also see Q&M, dental case study, which is good at pattern recognition, right? Providing a second pair of eye, right? The kind of things, right? And of course, there are more things that can be used, AI can be used for to transform healthcare, right? Dosage error reduction, right? I'm actually working on a project now with a public hospital in Singapore, right? To say the prescription, right? The mixing of chemicals into composition of the drugs, right? So how do we actually do that? Yeah. So this can be one of things. AI-assisted diagnosis. I shared on the first lecture for sure my experience in doing an AI doctor, right? So AI-assisted diagnosis can be a future. Today in Singapore, not yet, right? China, UK, yes. Singapore, not yet. Okay. And today, someone just sent me, Mother Doc just got license revoked or something like that. I've yet to read the details. You can read about that, right? But definitely AI-assisted things in the healthcare, you've got to be super careful, right? And not to play with it. Yeah. Clinical pharmaceutical trials, we already said in COVID-19, how your vaccine can come out so fast, right? Definitely AI has helped a lot in that. Radiology and imaging, right? That's again falling under the capability of AI called pattern recognition, computer vision, right? So we have shared many cases before, right? You have X-ray, you have CT scans, right? You need to go through tens of thousands of them. Human eye cannot spot some of the black spot or black mark or differences in so many scans, so many films, right? AI can, right? So they are very good at pattern recognition. Virtual nursing assistant, similar to a chatbot, health buddy kind of concept, 24/7, right? Become your personal assistant. So in future, everybody will have a virtual assistant, right? Today, you have your Siri and others for different purposes. Everybody is trying to build a health buddy for everybody, right? How good that is, because it need to get your medical history, your medical records, the lab test information. So Healthy 365, that Quipping Share or Health Hub, right? These are supposed to do the thing, but of course not really there yet. Yeah. Robot-assisted surgery. Yes, there's robotic arms and all those things, which even my father is going through that for his kneecap replacement, right? But again, is powered by AI as the brain for the robotic arms. Okay, so this is definitely a lot in the healthcare industry, and it may help in your GPA itself, right? If you choose to do something similar as stated here. Of course, in financial services, which many of you want to be in the banking sector because they pay well, right? Although now it's actually a downturn, but yes, during a good market, financial services pay the most, right? So again, we are all familiar with robo-advisor, which is some form of AI algorithm, right? But they are more than that, right? In fact, AI was used and is continued to be used mainly for fraud detection in the banking and insurance industry, right? And in the insurance industry that I just presented 2 days ago, the entire insurance value chain, from the product development, the policy development, all the way to underwriting, right? That means you go and do a health test, you go and they go and check on your financial status to know, whether I want to underwrite the risk for you to buy this policy or not, how likely you are going to claim, right? So AI definitely is one thing good to comb through the entire personal history profile to provide a credit scoring for that. Yeah. And then, of course, customer engagement, right? Just like any bot that every industry is developing or using, right? The virtual assistant, these are definitely useful for customer/patient engagement, right? Investment, and when I say financial service, don't just think of banking, right? We have public sector also. Example, your Monetary Authority of Singapore, right? It's a financial service public sector organization. Yeah. Of course, investment and asset management. Well, some of you are already doing that, algorithmic trading. Yesterday, one of my friend just showed me that every day he make 10% returns by having like 6 or 7 robots that he has built, which is his robot is actually AI. Okay, so he has built that and can give him 10% return on a daily basis. That's super good. Okay, but I'm not asking you to do that. All right. Of course, predictive analysis, portfolio management, these are all part of AI impact into financial services. Okay, operation efficiency, using RPA and all those things is no different from what I've shared in the government, in the COVID, in the form filling and others. Yeah. Financial planning and decision support. This one again is no different from your data-driven organization, right? Where you have more data, you analyze it, you can have a next best action to be done, and that's part of financial planning. Security is another one, right? AI is actually used more and more in detecting cybersecurity threats and risks, right? So that you can also provide the next best action, which is a response to cure the threat itself. Okay. So these are some examples of AI transformative impact into financial services. If you look at transportation, this is another key area that I say LTA spend a lot of money. My friends are working there, helping a Japanese company to work with LTA to do smart traffic monitoring and all those things, right? So definitely it's useful for predictive traffic modeling to know how to optimize the traffic flow, right? So all your ERP traffic light is supposed to be AI control, right? Intelligent traffic light, that it can really base on that to optimize the entire traffic flow, right? Reducing congestion with hopefully one day we have our autonomous vehicle really running without people beside, because in Singapore law today, you can't run a real autonomous vehicle, right? There are many constraints. You have to run on a defined road and you cannot go to a main public road. You need to have someone inside or beside, like in Sentosa, when we launch a Grab food delivery kind of concept using autonomous vehicle, you actually have the person riding a bicycle beside, right? In Sentosa Island, right? That defeat the purpose of having an AV. But of course, this is just an interim stage. Okay. Of course, improving transportation safety, right? Predictive maintenance, driver behavior analysis. These are some part of using AI to do a smart transportation. The environmental impact is, of course, another one, right? We have discussed in some of the case studies before, right? Definitely it can help to do disease management, outbreak management. It can do AI quality monitoring, right? Water pollution detection, right? Some of these things. And of course, we also discussed AI alone may not be good enough. You need the IoT, right? That's why we always hear the term AIoT, because to monitor air quality, you need sensors. To do water pollution, you need Internet of Things or sensors, right? So these are some of things that AI and IoT work very closely together, especially for a transformative impact to the environment. Okay. Smart building is another one, yeah. Public safety, we have seen many videos, right? Remember the LA police video that we see in a global case study? So definitely useful for crime prevention. And for those of you who listened to Chinese song and saw the news many years ago, facial recognition / AI, right, actually managed to catch a thief or robber, I can't remember, a criminal at Jackie Chong's concert in, I think, Shenzhen or Hong Kong, right? So that is, again, some kind of a crime prevention or law enforcement, right? Emergency response, so predicting natural disasters or allocating your civil defense according to needs. These are some of the things that AI can help in the entire operation and maintenance, yeah? So what are the possible challenges? Again, I will not ask you to type in. You will have a chance for your interactions later, right? But again, in your GBA, these can be a questions that you think through and you want to provide an answer to convince your parliament, your house, your citizen about your implementation, yeah? So what are the possible challenges, right, government may face on implementing AI for public administration? We'll focus on transparency and accountability. Okay. So some of the answers, right, to that question, again, you can consider for your GBA, right? Of course, always data privacy and security concern. Don't need to talk about that. Whenever you don't even need to talk about AI, talk about data, this question will come out, okay? Algorithmic bias, again, when you talk about AI, we saw the US case, right? There's a bias against the blacks, right? Is it correct or wrong, right? So these are things that can be considered. Externality and interpretability, especially when it goes to citizen engagement, right? People, just now I saw one video, so people always think AI is a black box. So how do you convince people that it's not a black box? We discussed that in previous some of the previous classes. You can get involved in focus group. You can actually do more tests. That's why Singapore has that 100E thing, right? To make people understand it, more convinced and more trusting, right? Accountability and oversight, always a simple case. Autonomous vehicle knock down someone. Whose fault? AI engineer's fault, vehicle's fault, the passenger's fault, or what, right? So these are things that accountability needs to be clearly defined. Okay, so again, in your GBA, if you say I'm going to have an AI, facial recognition and crowd control, right? Anything wrongs, who is responsible? The accountability needs to be clearly spelled out to get the buy-in, yeah? Public trust, so we talk about a lot on that, education, right, and many other things. And of course, ethical consideration, yeah? So there's this term, when we talk about future of AI, that I want to introduce to you, but as I say, it's future, so it's already there, but will it continue to stay on, or things may change, or you'll just die off? Wait to be seen, right? So a lot of things that we're talking today is actually part of public AI. Why is it called public AI? Because you need to get data from multiple sources. Usually it's public data, right? And then you actually process it in some form of AI algorithm that usually resides in some form of cloud, and many times a public cloud. So it's actually a public AI. Okay, but private AI is a trend up and coming, right? It refers to the development and deployment of AI systems within private organizations, companies, right? Rather than government entities. So the good thing is that there is a clear ownership, right? So usually it's the company. right? It's open source usually, and open source is something that's transparent. Public can access without paying a fee sometimes, right? So it's more trusting to the public, okay? Auditable process, we can have applying audit processes to AI systems, right? And that's already happening today, right? Government, you can audit also, right? There's a public, you call it AGC, right? But again, how easy and how comprehensive the audit process is also to be seen, yeah? Accountability wise, right, there will be contractual obligations when you engage private companies to develop AI. And this is what we have seen in the AI Verify Foundation that is launched by IMDA/GovTech. And you have many private companies that actually is a foundation member for the AI Verify initiative, yeah? Legal liability, of course, you can help government liable also legally, but of course, private companies are easier in some sense to be held liable for legally, yeah? Market forces, right? So definitely you have competition, right? If you know the Porter 5 forces, right? You have competitions, you have needs, you have demand, that will definitely drive companies, private companies to meet a certain standard for transparency and accountability. Okay, let's take a quick look at a video on what private AI is. This is by one of the vendor or company, right?
You see, Appian believes in private AI. Private AI. And that's different from what a lot of people are assuming out in the marketplace right now. You hear the headlines, they're not talking about private AI, but we are. I personally think that private AI is the better model. We're going to facilitate that for you. Let me explain what private AI is by first showing you the alternative. And this is what you're familiar with. This is what everybody sees. This is public AI. Public AI is your organization sends your data across the internet to a big tech vendor, and then they send you back some AI magic, right? But you had to first share your data. You had to diverge, you had to send your information to them. There are some obvious problems with this model. I know it's amazing what ChatGPT can do, right? We use it also, but there are some problems with this model. Let me just briefly walk you through them. First of all, obviously, you are disclosing your data. There can be regulatory problems with that. There could be privacy problems with that. You're disclosing it. Secondly, the public AI that you're consulting is trained on other people's data. So it's not really trained for you and for your problems. It's trained for general problems on a vast and diluted data set. Third, you may run into some regulatory issues when you share that data, depending on the nation, the laws you're subject to. You could have lost control of that data. There are some issues about whether you truly own it when you send it. Even if you found some way to anonymize it, you still may have lost ownership. And then finally, you have made your competitors smarter by training a public AI on your data. Not only have you informed the organization that owns that AI product, you've also trained their model to be more valuable, that then now your competitors can use the same thing and they're getting the value of your data. That doesn't feel right to me. Appian works with a lot of industry leaders, and I've spoken to a lot of you, and the message I get back is, you don't like this model. You don't like the idea of sharing your data or training your competitors or losing your rights to that data or having a model that is not responsive to your strategy and your information above all. And so public AI, while famous, is deeply flawed, and I don't think this is going to be the primary model in the end. I instead predict that we're going to have something like this. This is private AI. Private AI means every organization, every major organization in the world has its own AI algorithm. It's based on some publicly available model, some open source AI, but then you train it yourself. You train it internally based on your own information, and it becomes your AI, purpose-built, focused on the things you need, trained on the data you have, the forms you have, the behaviors you want. The data never escapes your control, and all of the models stay unique, and you preserve the totality of the benefit for your own organization, as you should. I believe that custom AI is going to become like custom applications. Every organization is going to want it for themselves, and we'll end up with a situation where it's second nature to expect that everybody's going to cultivate their own AI algorithms based on popularly available AI technology. This is the future that I predict. Just to put another finer point on it here, this is a little bit pedantic. I've got a diagram of public AI where every organization is sending their information to a central cloud, and a diagram of private AI where every organization has its own. The latter is what I believe will prevail and become more popular, and this is what Appian is most focused on providing to you. Now, we are happy to support you if you want to do the former model. If you want public AI, hey, we use it too. We use public AI, albeit limited, right? We use that, and we can support you to use it. We could put that into your process, no problem. But we will make the latter scenario possible. And it strikes me, as I prepared for this talk with you, it struck me that there are many times that I see a two-part choice, similar to this one, where one choice is what's obviously good for you, and the other choice is what big tech wants, right? I felt that way when it comes to best-of-breed technology. I felt that way when it came to the black hole of data. I feel that way when it comes to public AI versus private AI. And I want you to know that when you reach a moment like this, Appian is on your side. Appian is a good ally in a moment like this. We're a good counterweight to big tech because we take our directions from you. Our intention is to be sure that we're supporting your vision, your freedom to choose the best-of-breed products that you want, your freedom to keep data where you put it, your freedom to keep your information and train your own AI algorithm instead of sharing it with your competitors and with your vendors. We are on your side, and we support your freedom of action in the increasingly fraught market of big tech. We are a good counterweight to that influence.
Okay, so hopefully you have some appreciation of what a private AI is with this video, right? But again, as I mentioned, this is what is happening today. Would it continue the trend, right? There are pros and cons, right? You can have some privacy, you can have accountability and transparency, as we said. Of course, will the cost go up? Can you contain the cost because it's cheaper to go public, right? So there's something to be considered and balance it out, yeah? So again, as you mentioned, there are definitely pros and cons and some benefits of government leveraging private AI companies, right? There's definitely some form of reduction of government dependency, right? Government can reduce their direct involvement in the technical aspects. And that's why I think I mentioned in one of the lectures before when I talked to some of the insurance company, right? Because insurance, you want to create personalized products, just like healthcare, you want to create precision personalized medicine, right? You need a lot of algorithms. But is the core business of an insurance in algorithm development? Is a core business of a health institution in algorithm development? It's question mark, right? There are pros and cons again, right? Pros is that you can maintain and create the algorithm you want. Cons maybe it's a bit costly, right? And that's why when I talked to some of the big insurers in Hong Kong a few months ago, one of the chief data officer told me, oh, he's going to stop hiring data scientists because he will rely on the big hyperscaler, the tech players, the tech giants like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, to develop the large language model, and then they can use it. Yeah. So again, in real world, there's no 100% right and 100% wrong, right? If not, then the life will be much simpler. And that's why things may change, right? We are balancing and always striking a balance between the pros and cons of every programs or initiative or decisions. Yeah. Of course, we can leverage on private sector expertise, which I already shared. Even the two private sector, the insurers versus the tech giants, some of them decide that I will just leave it to the tech giants to do it, and I just use whatever they provide. Yeah. So that's definitely one thing, and the government can think through about that. Yeah. Facilitate collaboration, right? So private companies usually will work with like the NUS, the AI Singapore, come up with some of this training of the languages as well. Okay. Okay, some of the opportunities, right, of emerging AI technology, they are not entirely new, but they are more use cases that are being generated. First of all, you have NLP, which we all very familiar with. I think I showed you one of the video before where AI Singapore together with NTU and NUS developed a Singlish model, right? The lady, and that model is actually used for civil defense in Singapore, right? So there's a form of NLP, natural language processing, right? To help in personalized communication and improve service delivery through exports, yeah? Predictive analysis, right? I also shared in the past lectures before, there's a lot of predictive maintenance, whether in the factory setting, in the manufacturing sector, or in the aircraft maintenance, right? So these are something that can be used by using AI, right? And then the predictive analytics and algorithm is going to improve with more and more data being trained, yeah? Computer vision, so we see a lot of that, right? Whether is it identifying pattern in the dental side, in the X-ray, CT scan side, or is it in the crime prevention, traffic management? These are all leveraging on the computer vision capability of AI technology. Okay, explainable AI, right? Again, this is something that with that being implemented, you can hopefully reduce bias, right? Algorithmic bias and many other things that can foster the transparency and trust in the AI system to the public. Okay, let's look at some example. So NLP, right? You have seen the Singlish example. Now let's look at this thing called One Service Kaki chatbot from the government.
There's a broken fence or light around our part of town, or a bin that's quite a sight, trash all around. What do we do now? Love our hood, do some good. We can make a difference, and we should just report it on One Service. Love, love, love our hood. Love our hood, do some good. We can make a difference, and we should just report it on One Service. Do some good. Love our hood. Find One Service in a shot on the app called Life SG, or message the Kaki chatbot about what you see. It's your neighborhood buddy. Love our hood, do some good. We can make a difference, and we should just report it on One Service. Love, love, love our hood. Love our hood, do some good. We can make a difference, and we should just report it on One Service. Do some good. Love our hood.
Rana, hopefully the song wake you up by now. Okay, so I don't know how many of you use any of this government service, right? I have used something, especially the CPF one, right? And then of course the health buddy for all the public hospitals, right? Or not all public hospital. I mean, every one of them have different one NUHS for NUHS, health buddy for SingHealth, and many others. Yeah, I definitely use some of this, right? I haven't used Ask Wally before, right? Ask Captain Green, I've seen people using it, so you can try some of this. Some are quite good, but of course, I think one of those by Ministry of Health went to the news last year or the year before, right? Someone asked a question, I still got a screenshot, and then it replied something totally different about a female disease kind of thing, right? So there's something that, yes, you need to train your chat X bot, which is your AI assistant, virtual assistant, properly before you actually use it for citizen engagement. Okay, thanks for coming in, Dr. Gary. We are going to start your session in probably about 10 minutes time. I'm finishing up the few slides, yeah? Okay, so we saw the NLP, right? Now let's look at the other one, computer vision, which I already share with you. There are many public safety enhancement through computer vision, scanning through X-ray, CT scans, just on the case study about the dental group. So now let's look at another one, yeah? This is a bit long, about 5 minutes, yeah?
A more user-centric and efficient transportation system in the future.
We were working towards the pilot deployment of AVs as public transport in Singapore.
You have LiDARs, cameras, radars, other sensors, and we're testing whether
The stopping distance is safe.
Each one of the e-floaters have a GPS connection, so at any given point, I know exactly what the battery status is.
A safe, reliable and efficient transportation system is key to Singapore's success as Asia's business hub. The Land Transport Authority has its hands full as it tries to balance the needs and aspirations of a growing population.
There's limited land area here and we can't afford to build more roads to accommodate more vehicles even as our population and economic activities continue to grow. At the same time, we have limited manpower here. So for instance, we have a shortage of bus drivers in the public transport and logistics industries, and this is especially so as the workforce ages. So technology really allows us to overcome some of these constraints, especially when we're talking about technologies like autonomous vehicles.
Autonomous vehicles, or AVs, are set to reshape the transport landscape in various smart cities around the world. A centre to spearhead development of testing requirements for such vehicles was set up in 2016 at the Jurong Innovation District. The Centre of Excellence for Testing and Research of Autonomous Vehicles, NTU, CITRAN, was launched by the LTA and JTC in partnership with NTU.
We're working towards the pilot deployment of AVs as public transport in Singapore. We hope to deploy them from about 2022 onwards in 3 of our towns, Punggol, Tengah and the Jurong Innovation District.
The NTU campus has been the testbed for AVs since 2012. The latest AV to be deployed is this air-conditioned minibus, which provides daily shuttle services for students staying in 3 halls of residences. The vehicle can transport up to 24 passengers at any time and plies a 400-metre route. There are plans to extend the shuttle services across the entire campus in the near future. Ensuring the safety of these AVs remains a top priority.
All autonomous vehicles have a safety operator as really fallback last resort. So we're testing that these safety operators are able to do the trial. But then there is the technology itself. We're testing whether a vehicle can detect pedestrians and stop for pedestrians. You have LiDARs, cameras, radars, other sensors which really test for pedestrians. And we're testing whether the stopping distance is safe. And safe means not too close, but also not too far away that it becomes unpredictable. And we're testing both static pedestrians as well as what we call dynamic obstacles, moving obstacles, somebody running in front of the vehicle. If you don't pass those tests, you're not allowed to test on the public roads.
Long term, it might be pretty convenient because the time can be saved by waiting for drivers, but might be exposed to potential accidents, so that's something that we should be aware of.
If you want to have autonomous, like hop into the car and it can take you anywhere in Singapore, that may be a little bit tough. But you have dedicated routes where everybody knows that there are autonomous vehicles flying around the routes. It is possible.
AVs aside, a new initiative is taking off in the shared mobility platform. In addition to bicycles, commuters now have access to rental electric scooters to solve their first and last mile problem, distances that are too far to walk and too short to drive. Flotility is a startup that runs a fleet of 50 custom-designed and built e-scooters at One North. Called the e-floaters, these e-scooters come equipped with 3 wheels and are self-balancing. At 10 cents per minute, they're also affordable for most commuters.
Each one of the e-floaters have a GPS connection, so at any given point, I know exactly what the battery status is, and if it's below a certain threshold, I can do an immediate swap.
The Flotility team has also come up with an innovative solution to curb indiscriminate parking of shared mobility devices. Called a geofence, it allows users to rent and return the e-scooters only within designated areas.
I can manipulate the geofence whichever way I want. So right now we have it open in One North, but eventually I'm going to make it tighter. So that means in each building I can do a geofence. So that means you can only go from one building to the other and you can't be in between, let's say on the road, on the sidewalk, whatever.
With our transportation system getting smarter, various initiatives are being put in place to ensure that it remains inclusive and accessible to all.
We have an ongoing hands-free ticketing trial where commuters can access MRT stations through the fare gates without having to tap in or out. So we hope that this would allow commuters, for instance people with disabilities, to more easily access public transport.
Okay, so this is an example of a smart transportation,
A
right?
more-
Others will include also the example of PUB side, right? National Water Agency. Just now you can ask Wally, right? So this is for using AI for water management, right? So this is a predictive maintenance system for the water infrastructure, right? And again, as I mentioned, right, just now we saw in that the future of AI in the transformative AI impact to the environmental, right? We say definitely you need sensors, and sometimes we call it IoT, and that's why the term of AIoT is very, very common. Okay. Other cases can be workforce impact, right? It's going to transform many industry, including public administration, right? So I also share with you in COVID, we automate many tasks, right? Many companies also do that. And then again, going back again and again, the top three category, right? One is operational efficiency, second is knowledge retrieval, third is citizen engagement. So a lot of routine tasks will be automated, right? And the data and the AI can help in decision making, right? So these are some examples that the government, and you already see many videos just now, right? The skill future, the TESA that's helping to upskill or reskill our existing workforce. So how will automation with AI impact jobs, right? So these are some of the statistics. Again, in your GBA, you may want to consider job displacement as a potential issue, right? And how do you address that? You can see the next slide, right? But basically, yes, there will be some jobs that may be lost. And then due to the automation, I think every day I'm reading this kind of news, right? Oh, AI is going to, no, they say how many layoff again in this industry, that industry, and main contributor is due to AI. But again, it shouldn't be 100% the case. We always argue that we have gone through 4 industry revolution. We're in industry revolution 4.0, right? 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, we go into some form of machinery, automation along the way, right? So yes, there may be some jobs will be gone, but right, you will also have new jobs being created. Yeah. So that's actually stated in the next slide, right? So what are the jobs that may be gone, right? Before looking at the actual job title or description itself, the high-level characteristics of the job, they may be impacted. I wouldn't say gone, right? It may be altered. The scope may change a little bit here and there, but the job role may not be 100% gone, right? So definitely repetitive routine tasks, right? Without AI, this can already be automated to some extent, just that AI bring it to a greater extent, right? So definitely if every day you're just doing data entry work and very repetitive tasks that there's a pattern to it, yes, computer or IT can help. We don't even need to talk about AI, okay? Data analysis and reporting, right? That was so important at some point of time. It's still very important, but do you really need a lot of manual work to do that? No, AI is a brain. You can imagine as a brain that is trained from as a young kid all the way to an adult, right? Definitely AI can do some of this analysis as well. Okay, customer support and services, we see so many X-bots in the past few sessions, and you are using many of that as well. So definitely, if it is a pure customer service, right, today, whether we talk to our telco, talk to a comfort taxi or whatever, or Grab, you're already talking to a bot first, right? No matter how good or bad our experience is, this trend is going to stay. Yeah. Basic healthcare diagnosis. As I shared yesterday, I was in a healthcare forum. Yeah. There's always a challenge to really go straight into diagnosis and prescription, right? And actually, I mentioned just now, today's biggest news, Mother.Doc, right? Where Doc is, the telehealth platform, they just got their license revoked, and I'm yet to read the details of it. Yeah. Basic financial analysis, we saw just now a few cases of financial service industry impacted by healthcare, by AI, right? So whether it's robo-advisor, is it fraud detection, right? So these are some of the things that can be done by AI, right? Manufacturing and warehouses, robotic arms, robots used for packing, sorting is already happening. Data entry and bookkeeping, right? Retail, self-service kiosks, you already see it. Today may not be AI, tomorrow can have facial recognition and make it a bit smarter, knowing your personal preference after scanning your face, right? Then there will be AI-empowered or AI-powered self-service kiosks for retail and food, yeah? Transportation, you saw many of them just now, the case study AV, right? Legal research, my friend just joined as a regional chief technology officer for a legal firm. Yeah, they are definitely doing a lot of AI to help in combing through a lot of the past cases, right? So this is similar to people in the academic field, right, to doing research. So legal research or any form of research and reviewing documents, or in the government's term, we call it knowledge retrieval. It's very easy, common use case by AI moving forward, yeah? So what are the jobs that may be displaced and new jobs created? I will not go through all the details. You can read about that, right? But basically, we are quite familiar with some of the jobs. They are already being displaced, right? And the new jobs, as I say, there are many, many new jobs, but one of the most popular job in the next 1 or 2 or 3 years, maybe this role called prompt engineering, yeah? Okay, so you can consider what the fastest growing job in the future. Okay, let's look at 1 or 2 more videos and we should conclude and introduce Dr. Gary Ang, yeah? This video doesn't have sound, so don't worry about that. Okay, so this is an example under future of job. Okay, so strategy for future-proof public sector. This is my last slide for this entire course, right? Because it will link to what Dr. Gary is going to say, and it will link to some of your GBA questions as well, okay? So what are the strategies for future-proofing the public sector? Develop and implement a comprehensive national AI strategy. You have seen National AI Strategy 2.0, the 3 categories of it, and 6 or 9 components, right, under the 3 categories, right? So you need to have a well-defined one. In fact, for your group-based assignment, GBA, you may want to introduce, since it's a fictitious nation, right? You may want to introduce some form. I already told you just now, you may choose. You cannot address all because you won't have the time, right? You choose some of the things that can give you a coherent storyboard, right, when you introduce your AI-based health system / policy, okay? Foster collaboration between government, academy, and private. So we actually talk a lot this thing called PPP, right? Public-private partnership. So there's something that a lot of public sectors around the world are using, because you can't using just government money, which is actually your citizens' money all the time, yeah? And private sectors is definitely one of the key things, key component in the entire partnership. Invest in workforce training and development programs. We have seen many cases just now, upskilling, reskilling, right? Just now, many videos already, AI Singapore, TESA, and many others, right? And it has to continue, right? Just now you also saw the video by Minister Josephine Teo, sorry. She said you need to have Kung Fu, Ip Man, and Wing Chun. So if you don't remember, watch back the video why she say you need that, all those different roles, okay? Emphasize ethical consideration. That's most important for transparency, accountability, and we've discussed quite a lot about that. So these are some of the 4 big category of the strategies that we think you want to get AI highly accepted and used, especially in the public sector. You need to be able to have these 4 components or ingredients, right, in that itself. Okay, so with that, I will invite Dr. Gary Ang, right, to have this fireside chat. Actually, is more, he will present first, and we'll ask questions. He will ask you questions as well, right? So that's all for my sharing. So let me stop my slide. And yeah, Dr. Gary Ang, maybe I will do a quick introduction, but it will be better even for him to introduce himself. Okay, give me a moment. I need to allow the multiple sharing. Yeah, okay. Now we'll make Dr. Gary Ang the co-host. Okay, all students, please on your video, just like we do for every guest lecturer, right? To show your respect to the guest lecturer. I'm not important you see me every 2 weeks, but the guest lecturer, you only see them 1 hour. They're all very busy people, right? Last time you got Hui Peng, you got Dr. James Ong, all a doctor, right? So please, on your video, and please make full use of this chance to ask question. Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Gary Ang today is a doctor, practicing also in National Health Group, right? But of course, he's also involved in a lot of public health, population health kind of work that makes him one of our good guest speaker for this entire thing, the lecture itself. Yeah, and then of course, I think today he's of course going to share a lot about public health, but he also have many friends in the public sector, not in the health sector. So he will also share some of things that he knows or kind of get involved in as well. So and of course, most importantly, Dr. Gary Yang also do MBA, right? Although he's a doctor. So he has that business acumen and everything as well. Yeah. So without further ado, I will hand over the mic to Dr. Gary Yang. Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me. Let's start. Today, I'll talk about a future-proof public service. So, thanks for introducing just a bit about my roles. I think I mentioned my education. So, I'm a health service researcher. So, I do research into artificial intelligence, diabetes, workplace health. I'm also a clinician advisor for the AI lab. We call it the Health Empowered by AI Launchpad, HEAL for short. I also do workplace health. I still practice once a week, every Friday at Woodlands Polyclinic. If you're interested, you can add me on LinkedIn. Okay, I just pause for a while. Okay, let's move on. Okay, key objectives today, we'll focus on 3 things. Okay, I think the mind can't think of too many things, so 3 things. First is to understand how AI is being implemented in public service currently. Secondly, what are the potential challenges? And finally, how can you avoid AI implementation failures? And these are some of the things, the big picture. So 3 things I always talk about when you think about any issue: the why, the what, and the how. So why must be clear, why you're doing this. So that's why I start off with the key objective. Why are you listening to me? That's very important. Next, we talk about the what am I going to go through? And next is my delivery, how I'm going to deliver my talk today. First thing, okay, so this is from the ecosystem Coniza. You can Google it. So the link is there actually. So 5 AI imperative for Singapore. This is quite recent, June 2024. AI is something that is so recent that you probably can't find any good textbook on it because all these are quite new. So what does future-proofing public service mean? This is an important thing because this is our key topic. So first thing is a roadmap. What's a roadmap? A roadmap is something to tell you where you want to go. Only when you know where you want to go, then you can start planning from pilot and then implementation. Finally, another thing important is the true value of AI. That's very difficult to measure because a lot of times AI seems to be like a shiny tool that many CEOs like to say, oh, we have AI, we have AI. But what does it do for the business? How does it actually increase revenue or reduce costs? If it doesn't increase revenue, if it doesn't reduce costs, it will not probably affect the business value. Next is about breaking down silos. So in any organization, the key is that they're always fragmented, which means that most of the time they have actually departmental KPIs, which is at a silo department rather than intra-department or inter-department. So these are some of the things we need to actually break down. And data governance or even availability of data is very important. Otherwise, without data sharing, even one department may not even share data with another department. So without this data governance, we won't be able to use the AI to work on the data. And finally, upskilling. Are the people ready for AI disruption? Or do you need to wait for 5, 10, 15, 20 years before everybody gets retired off and then can push for new things? Because ultimately, you need the current people to have the motivation to upskill, which is what you're all doing now, I think. You're all upskilling. Good. Okay, since I'm a doctor, so we focus more on opportunities in healthcare. So first thing is improved diagnosis. A lot of times, diagnosis is based on history, which what is the patient tells us, the physical examination, what we find on our examination, some of the investigation tests that we do to rule out or rule in a diagnosis, and finally our treatment plan. So with AI, you can actually enhance disease detection for medical imaging, for example. There are some studies that shows that, for example, breast cancer, early breast cancer can be detected up to 6 years before it can actually be seen by radiologists. With this, you can actually detect early cancer. Okay, so that's one of the things that we probably can explore. Personalized treatment. So the key thing is that every patient is different. Every individual is different. So you cannot have a one-size-fits-all. So for example, for dosages, you only realize that for kids, you actually treat by kilogram. So the medication dosage is by kilogram. But somehow, somewhere, one will become an adult. It's only either one tablet of Panadol or two tablets of Panadol. Whether I'm 60 kg, 80 kg, 200 kg, it's always one or two tablets. It's no longer weight dependent. Or to be more accurate, dry weight, dry mass. We don't look at the fats, but the dry mass. Efficiency and automation. So these are some ways you can kind of reduce cost. If you can reduce some of the task automation, you can reduce the need for redundancy. So this will help improve the business value by reducing cost. And more importantly, errors as well. Because every error, there's actually you need to work around it. You need to fix it. For example, all these things actually add cost. For example, if there's error in lab ordering, then you need to actually redo it, and all these leads to problem. For example, if I order a test and the patient is not fasted, then the patient will come back another day. And even better, patient don't even come back because how can I tell me I need to fast? So all these things are very important to make sure that reminder messages for patient to fast is sent off rather than relying on an individual to call. And drug discovery, this is more for drug companies. How can you use AI to create new drugs based on what is predicted? So we don't even need to explore now. We can use AI to simulate what the new drugs properties are, and then can test it out. Next, telemedicine. I think you just mentioned about Mana Doctor. Unfortunately, I have some friends in that company, so it's quite sad. But anyway, improve virtual consultation and remote health monitoring. Of course, we do not want to have a 1-second consult. Yeah, that's probably not the ideal. But we want to actually help improve this telemedicine consult by measuring vital signs. So right now, I'm working on a project with Face AI. So what it does is it can take videos of a patient's face to measure certain vital signs. So otherwise, at home, how do I measure my temperature, my pulse rate, my blood pressure? Either I have a machine or it's difficult for doctors to assess whether the patient is stable or not. As I mentioned previously, reminders, appointment scheduling, recovery monitoring, all these are important because without this, it's a human to call. Can you imagine for my dental, right? Usually I get a message or I get a phone call. Hi, please remember to come for your appointment. So all these things are manual tasks. Probably most of us will not want to do that. So we can use automated messages to remind patients to come for the appointment one day before. So studies have shown that this have actually increased the adherence rate because a lot of time patients may forget about their appointments. Healthcare operation, how do you optimize the patient flow and resource allocation? This is very important because what we want to do is we want to reduce the movement. So that's why when we plan for services, we want to plan specialist clinic that are quite similar in nature together so that the patients can go. For example, there are some patients who go for cardio, which is the heart, and some people with the gastro. Anyone want to guess why cardio and gastro is quite usually located together? Any idea? You can just unmute yourself. Anybody? Okay, I guess it's
there's no right or wrong, right? Just try.
Just
Good
try,
to
yeah.
learn some
Make it
medical
more,
knowledge. Actually, I don't know the answer also, so don't be shy. You can try. Yeah.
Anybody want to try?
You can type also if you don't want to speak up, but I suggest you
Okay,
can.
that's one type. Very good, very brave soul. Somebody said in terms of blood, okay, not a bad idea, but it's not a symptom. Sometimes patients may have chest pain or they have pain in the stomach area. So is it a heart problem or is it a stomach problem? That's why a lot of times we realize that and some patients who have a heart problem, they may take this medication called aspirin. So sometimes aspirin, if you're not careful, it may actually lead to bleeding. That's why we found that a lot of patients with gastro appointment also go to cardio appointment. So another thing, it could be because they are old and they are similar issues. So some of these things are quite interesting. So when we did a study to do some sort of similarity index, we actually found that these two specially often coexist together. Yeah. Okay, reduce costs. So we want to reduce expenses from misdiagnosis, redundant tests. Okay, in the past, right, when we did our study, right, we have all these national records, right? There are patients who actually done the same blood test 20, 30 times. This test is to check your sugar level in the past 2-3 months. So if you think about it, if you want to check your sugar level for the last 2-3 months, the maximum you should do in 1 year is 6. But there are people who did 20, 30. I don't even know why you did so many blood tests. So some patients, because in the past there isn't any shared records, so this doctor will just do a test because they actually patient pay for it. So you do a test, okay, results okay. Then you see another doctor without checking or without asking, order the same test. and found that the same problem. So right now with AI, what we did is there's some alert system. So there's this, if you look at the NUHS or National University Health System, so they actually save all these redundant or duplicate CT scan. Well, CT scan is quite expensive. So if a doctor orders CT thorax, for example, okay, a simple example, let's say a doctor orders a CT, basically it's just an imaging test of the abdomen and the chest, okay? And then another doctor order a CT of the chest, which are quite similar, maybe in a like 1-2 weeks apart. Then the person coming, hey, why are you ordering the same test? This test actually have two. So instead of doing this, so what the radiologist or so radiographer can actually get alerted and call the doctor. Do you still want to go through this? This patient already done a thorax, chest, CT scan 3 weeks ago. Do you still want to do it again? Yeah. So these are some of the things that we can actually reduce all the redundant tests. Yeah, I hope I'm not going too fast. Usually I speak very fast, so I just slow down. Okay, move on. Okay, case study 1. Okay, the important thing is we should not just talk about theory, we talk about practice. So first case study is actually something that's really being done. This is a readmission prediction model by Synapse. Synapse is like a health tech partner of the public healthcare system. So it helps to predict who will be readmitted over the next 12 months. So once you know who, we can then intervene to see is there anything we can do to improve the compliance, improve the patient's, for example, wound care. So all these things helps to reduce admission because admission is quite expensive. So input data they use is social demographic characteristics. Sometimes patients, I see a chat. Let's see, is there any question before I go and see phone? Sorry, it's a chat. Sometimes, yeah, okay, good point. That's the one. Yeah, so back to this. So you use the social demographic characteristics, previous historical utilization. This is actually one of the best predictor for future utilization. So if you use a hospital before, most likely you will use again. And also information on what are the conditions that they have. And then you use a machine learning model. If you ever covered gradient boosting. Okay, gradient boosting, right? Okay, I just did a brief. I'm not a data scientist, but what they do is very simple. It's just like going for exam. They'll tell you which questions you got wrong. Then after the question you got wrong, you go and study it. They test you again. And then your scores will usually improve. So what this does is for things they predict very well, okay, they just keep it. For things they don't predict that well, they will look through it and then train a model to predict better. So they use the inaccuracy for all this data to retrain a model. So they call it XG boost. Okay, this is just an oversimplification. If anyone interested can read more about different XG boost and all the other boosting methods. Okay, move on. Case study 2. Okay, let me play this.
Introducing DAX Copilot, your AI assistant for automated clinical documentation. Formerly known as DAX Express, this new addition to the Dragon family relieves administrative burdens to increase clinician satisfaction, improve patient experiences, boost operational efficiencies, and achieve financial outcomes across specialties. This industry first combines proven conversational and ambient AI with the most capable generative AI, amplified by the power of the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare and Azure. Using a secure app or supported EHR mobile app, DAX Copilot captures the complete patient story. And in seconds, converts multi-party conversations into structured and specialty-specific clinical summaries that are immediately available for review and editing. Clinicians can view and access all available clinical summaries in the app or directly in the EHR. Using just their voice, clinicians can tap into a full suite of customizations, templates, and shortcuts that allow them to personalize their notes using Dragon Medical One's advanced speech capabilities and time-saving EHR workflows. As part of the Microsoft Cloud, DAX is delivered through a trusted, reliable infrastructure and global platform, guided by an established responsible AI framework and core set of principles. It's secure, flexible, and scalable, and the results speak for themselves. Better work-life balance, higher job satisfaction, greater documentation quality, and more focused, personable, and conversational patient visits. With DAX Copilot, automated clinical notes are just the beginning.
Okay, first thing, I'm not from Microsoft, so not trying to sell you this. Second thing, this is actually quite old. It's actually last year, October 2023. If you look at it, there's a lot of similar product out there. I just recently was a mentor for one of the startup in Australia. It's by a doctor, so they also have something similar for all this documentation. But the key thing is, first thing in any of the project, what is the pain point? Pain point, what is the thing that you want to solve? What is the job to be done? So first thing is, when you see a doctor, the doctor has two tasks. One is to see you, and one is to document. So I realized a lot of time the doctors will usually just type. The funniest joke is that after seeing the patient, after typing everything, then the doctor asks the nurse, is the patient male or female? See? So he's so focused on typing, he doesn't even look at the patient, doesn't know whether the patient is old or young or what. So this is one of the pain points. Documentation is very, very painful. And if you don't document it, they'll say it's not being done. So you need to be thorough. So you need to both ask the question, type it. And sometimes you can't type verbatim, which means that you have to summarize in a so-called case note or medical-like thing. So that's why this is helpful, because it's not just taking a transcription. Transcription is easy. It's how you can document it in a way that doctors will understand for the next consult. So this is trying to improve the doctor-patient relationship so that doctors will see you and know you are male or female rather than after documenting who is the person. Yeah. Okay, move on. Sorry. Okay. Now we move away from Singapore healthcare, because I think this is not just healthcare specific. So one thing is there's this GovTech, not sure if you heard of GovTech. So actually it's like a health tech, is that a tech arm, but for the whole civil service. So interestingly, Singapore public sector is not considered as a government. Therefore, we have Synapse who does that. But lucky or not luckily, we actually quite work together with GovTech also. So let me show you this. Should be quite fast.
Imagine there was a chat interface where you could ask anything you want about your policy. We know you want that, so we've created SENSE, a whole of government business intelligence tool powered by a large language model. Simply hook it up to your database and ask any questions you want. Today, we're using open datasets from the Housing Development Board on resale flat demand and prices. We've already asked what datasets HDB has given us, and we see that there are 3 data tables that tell us the demand, HDB price index, and resale prices. Gone are the days when you had to wait hours or weeks just to know what data you had in your system. Excited? So am I. Let's ask SENSE to calculate the first, second, and third resale prices for each HDB flat.
Oh, sorry.
SENSE is an intelligent tool that knows you'll be using the HDB resale prices data table. Since there's no unique ID for each HDB flat, it also creates a unique ID by combining the block, street name, floor area, flat model, and lease commence date. SENSE also creates all the completed code for you, so you don't have to. And amazing, you get your answer without all the hassle of coordination between policy and data analysts. SENSE is able to deal with any queries as long as you hook it up to the relevant data table in your agency. Want to know the year-on-year increase in the HDB resale price index? Just ask away.
Okay, I realize it's a bit small, but not to worry. You can actually watch it on YouTube. So I'll not finish the whole thing, but the whole purpose is that you can put your database in. You don't really need to do coding. So one of the pain points as a doctor or as a business user is to know programming. I tried to learn Python, I went for courses, but unless you practice it, you won't be very proficient in it. So this is something that's a pain point. But right now, with ChatGPT, with LM model, there's not really a need to know in-depth programming. You can use that to actually kind of get what you want. Of course, if you need to do some design or do some deep analysis, you still need a data scientist. But for basic things like asking simple questions, year-over-year increase, which table to use, all these things, you can just use this SENSE to do it. Okay, another thing that we have is AI bots. So AI bot is another similar thing. So it helps to chat with the documents. So this is another secure platform. So our problem with of government service is that most of the information may be a bit confidential. That's why you cannot use ChatGPT, you cannot use all your other like what other Perplexity. You cannot just put your government document inside, right? So they have to have a secure type of a base. That's why I come up with Sense and AI bot. In case I'm asking why don't you use ChatGPT? Unfortunately, in life you cannot put your like confidential data into this AI chatbot. Yeah. Okay, I see some question. Maybe I look through the question first. We will again not just AI in public service, but also some medical. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, fine. Thank you.
That's what I put.
Okay, can
answering to one of the students' question. Yeah.
Okay, one important thing is you cannot just think AI is like the hype, too much hype, I think. There's some potential challenges. So I just think three things because easy to remember. First is technological barrier. The key thing is that you have a new system. You want to change a new system. It's not so simple because you already have this thing called sunk cost. By right, sunk cost means you spend the money. If something better come out, just change it. Don't look at the sunk cost. But in real life, people will say we have a legacy system. We already have a chatbot. You see okay, I want to use stupid. You use the low AI or no AI type of chatbot you've seen before, right? Key in your keyword. We already have that already. If you ask us to suddenly switch to a large language model, sorry, we can't because there's legacy system. And even if that you have the willingness to change, your data may not fit the infrastructure needed. So all these things not so straightforward. Another thing is AI technology right now is quite high cost, especially LM model. If you've seen recently, the token cost has come down, but it's still quite significant, especially open up to the public. So these are some ways we need to consider. That's both the technological barrier as well as the cost. This is ethical concern. One of the things that you don't realize is a lot of large language model, they use copyrighted materials to train. So are we promoting this bad behavior? That's one thing. So we talk about privacy, data security, surveillance, copyright, miss that. Okay, next thing is also bias. What is bias? Because bias simply means that a lot of AI, they uses historical data. So for example, in healthcare, historically, in US, the minority don't really have good outcomes. So if you use the AI and AI predict that a minority will not have good outcomes, it may tell you do not treat the minority, which defeats the purpose. It's because they have poor outcome. We should actually actively treat them to improve their outcomes, right? But if you use an AI model that's trained on historical data, this is what may happen. So you look at, this is Amazon. If not wrong, can Google Amazon. They recently many years ago, they got a lawsuit. They use some AI to fetch through resume. And as long as resume mention female, they will be low prioritized. They will be excluded because historically, male is a male-dominated culture, so male resume get selected. So the AI don't look into this, it will be unfair, it will be biased. So these are some things you need to address. Sometimes because of data set don't have enough females, then they will just deprioritize the female. Okay, finally, governance. The governance is so slow. You realize governance is very slow. A lot of times requires soft law or industry regulations. So these are some things that is rapidly changing. So in Singapore, we have we don't even have a responsible AI per se. We have one governance for model for normal AI and one for generative AI. But these are for in general, not for specific industry specific. So this is important because we need to really have some guidance on what to do next. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So costs, this is some estimate of cost because ultimately, okay, a few things is in life very simple is buy, borrow, build, back. Okay, this is correct. Actually, just buy, borrow, and then build. So anyway, so building from scratch sounds good, right? But because a lot of times the model you have doesn't really fit you, so you build from scratch. That's on the extreme, right? You can see that it's quite costly, you know. Yeah, and there's recurring costs, upfront cost high and low cost. And then there's a recurring cost. If you use some commercial one, the thing is that it is cheaper, yes, but it may not suit your needs. So where you stand is still there's a certain amount of cost, whether you build the AI or you use some commercial Gen AI. Yeah, so these are some things to consider. Okay, in terms of the cost. This on Gartner. Okay, root causes, this is not important thing. This is just also quite recent, August 13. Oh, that's just 2 months ago. What are the root causes of failure for AI projects? Okay, firstly, the industry stakeholders do not really understand the problem that need to be solved. A lot of times, some problem cannot be solved using AI. For example, can AI predict Toto? Anyone guess? Do you think AI can predict the lottery? Anyone want to try? Do you think so? How many say AI can predict lottery? Okay, I see a chat. Ah, you think can? Okay, very good. So you can work on this program. I think probably if you can find an investor to invest it, that's good. But unfortunately, I think this is quite random now. So AI requires pattern. So unless there's a pattern in the 4D or the Toto or the lottery, it's quite impossible to use AI to do that. Or you want AI to predict how many doctors we need in 2030. AI can't do it because you need to have some data, then you can kind of like guess or try to extrapolate. But certain things you can't because this nothing is predictable. So these are some problems that cannot be solved using AI. Another thing is the data. We don't have the data to train a model. So no data, no talk. And the data, if the data is just paper and notes, right? Okay, difficult. So for example, you are a hawker and you want to use AI to help predict your customer. Then you say the only way you note down your customer is a piece of paper where you say this person ordered $3 chicken rice, this person ordered $6 with extra egg or something like that. And it's all in paper. I don't think you can use the AI to do it unless you need somebody to actually painfully do it. So in the past, when medical practices became digitalized, it's actually not digitalized. What they did was they paid somebody to take the paper record and scan it in. So this is just making the paper record digital. It doesn't mean digitalization because there's no search function, because it's all scan notes. Okay, to be fair, now AI can read all these scan notes, but in the past, you need to understand, you need to key in the data. It's useless to just scan your paper notes and put into the system and say we are fully digitalized. Okay, the thing is, AI project also fail because the organization are so focused on the technology. So they want the best technology, want the newest technology, but a lot of times they are not solving a real problem. They focus on a technology rather than solving a real problem. Because a lot of time, if a knife can work, don't need a bazooka. Okay, you want to cut, let's say you want to cut a durian. Okay, a knife will work. Don't go and buy a bazooka to shoot to open a durian. You end up nothing. Okay, that's supposed to be a joke, but anyway. Okay, so organization also do not have an infrastructure to manage the data because it's not just having the technology, it's also how do you manage the data, how do you ensure that it's being tracked, how do you make sure that it can be monitored, because all these things will cause the project to fail. And finally, because the problem is just too difficult to solve, I gave an example of the lottery. I think if anybody want to do the lottery prediction, right, I think you can quite find investor, but I don't think it will work because I don't think it's predictable. So certain things that are not predictable, please don't try because it's too difficult to solve. Yeah. Okay, I think okay, so now after all this, you need some recommendation, right? So firstly, make sure that the clarity of the project is very important. So that's why I say the why is very important. Okay, you need to explain to the people. That's why some need people who are bridges. So you need a technical people to know a bit about the domain. You need a domain people to know a bit about technical. So you have these people to kind of like translate so they can understand each other. Otherwise, they end up with things that nobody wants. Second thing, the problem should be something that's enduring because this is going to be very long. Okay, it must be something that is not just the hot topic of the day, but something that is going to be consistently there. Next thing is focus on a problem, the needs analysis. What is the problem statement, not the technology? Okay, because you solve the problem. Sometimes the problem solved is not a technology. Yeah, sometimes like for example, you want an automated queue system. It's not really about the technology, it's about the willingness to allow the queue system to be open up for public, for example. And then invest in infrastructure. So another important things, all these things actually cost money. It's not so straightforward to just switch to AI. You need to have a team of data scientists, domain expert people, regulation, or people who can do all this important governance. AI limitation. So the technical expert must be able to tell the leaders what AI can and cannot do. Okay. So one problem with LLM, large language model, is sometimes the output is not consistent. Sometimes there's this thing called hallucination. Actually, the correct term I really like to use is called confabulation. What is confabulation? Confabulation is something that alcoholic usually do. The alcoholic will say, so what? This means that they don't have complete data, so they will make up data. So you ask an alcoholic, how come you're here? Because somebody brought me here. Who brought you here? I think my friend brought me here. So they are trying to create a plausible explanation about things. So that's what the LLM model does. When the data is incomplete or biased, it will come out with a plausible answer. For example, you ask it for citation in the past, they'll give you a fake citation because this citation sounds possible. Yeah. Okay, next is overcome data barrier. So partnership is important, but before there's partnership, one of the key words is trust. Without trust, there will be no partnership, because you must trust the person to not just use the data irresponsibly, or you not trust the academia or just keep you aside once you have the data. So this is very important to have partnership and trust. Okay, this one, last one is a bit controversial because I believe in this. A lot of time, PhD topics, right? Sorry for those PhD out there. The PhD topic is very theoretical. They focus on increasing knowledge. So they say that we need to have a different type of we don't call it PhD, call it a professional PhD or professional doctorate program. These are application. So this one is a more interdisciplinary instead of being more silo. It's something that actually cut across. So this will help to make this more successful. So they call it a practitioner doctorate program. So I have this question: should the AI person learn a domain, or should a domain person learn the AI? So this is something that you can I don't answer. You can think back. So if you are a domain person, should you learn AI, or if you're AI person, should you go into the domain? Okay, I think the summary sites. First one, future-proofing public service. You need an AI roadmap, ensure there's data governance, break down silo for collaboration, and upskill for AI disruption. Okay, just remember key takeaway. I don't think we tested, but just a good to make sure I didn't waste my time. Secondly, for healthcare opportunity, improve diagnostic, make the treatment more personalized. There's a efficiency gain and also reduce costs through telemedicine automation. Okay. And the last one, case study I covered about the readmission model by Synapse for the 1 year, so that they can go to community to kind of intervene to make sure a patient go for a follow-up. A simple phone call, please go for a follow-up. But first, you need to have a list of who to intervene. You cannot intervene on everybody because it's not going to be cost effective. You can only intervene on the most likely people requires the intervention. So that's why you use the AI to predict who will most likely benefit from the intervention. Next, also use AI in US context. I think Singapore, we are trying to go into that. If anyone from SingHealth, if you're from SingHealth, they are launching NoteBuddy this week. So it's something that is similar to the Dragon AI that I mentioned, the ambient AI. So you'll be able to record the consult, and then you'll be documented. Okay, challenges, legacy system. This is a big problem. You go and tell anybody, I have a good solution. But I just bought this. Okay, imagine go back to your wife, and then after there's a new, let's say a new TV. But we just bought a TV last year. So there's a win. You need to have winners to change. And a lot of legacy system has already been there. There's some cost. You still have to use it until it finishes its usefulness life. There's also high cost to create this large language model. That's why a lot of companies are taking a wait to see approach, waiting for cost to come down, waiting for use case to be stronger before they jump to it. Data privacy, bias I mentioned. Sometimes the data can be biased because of small data set, lack of this data. So you can recommend a wrong thing. And there's isn't very clear regulation. I think this is something that we need to keep a note of. And finally, focus on problem, solving real problem, lasting problem. Also need to smart investment infrastructure. Do not rush it. I think a lot of people like to rush it. They want to have the quick wins. Yeah, when a quick wins mean after a quick win, there's nothing left. You clarify what is the goal of the project. The why is very important. Must focus on the why and need to be clarify what's the why. Understand the limitation of AI. AI is not a miracle. For those who think can predict the lottery, 4D, if that's the case, then I think the ChatGPT will make a lot of money. So it can predict who going to win the grand ball. Is it? There's a very high stake lottery in US. I think I'm not sure what it's called, but yeah, but I don't think anyone has used that to win the lottery or predict which stock will go up. Yeah, so unfortunately, it doesn't work this way. It can suggest what they think, but it may not work out in the real world. Yeah. And also foster collaboration between government, academia. This is important because there need to be a trust. But first, everyone must have a line. The interest of government may be very different from the interest of academia. Academia want to publish, so they focus on things that are more novel, innovative. Government is not there to publish. Government is there to solve problems. So they have different goals. So you need to actually bring them all together. Okay, I think that's the last slide. So thank you for listening. Hope it's useful.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Gary. Okay, so very interesting discussion. Yeah, definitely. So we will open to the floor. Feel free to ask questions.
Hi, Dr. Gary. Rajiv here. Is my audio clear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, Dr. Gary, I wanted to ask you, since you are from the medical profession and you also have the experience from the public service, I just want to understand, like, from your perspective, how are these calculations made in terms of AI's use in the public service or the healthcare industry? Like, how do they decide the priorities? Like, okay, we want to use AI for documentation purposes or diagnostic purposes. How do they make those calculations and prioritize which use cases? Because AI has so many different use cases. Yeah.
Okay, so okay, maybe I share a bit about my job as a HUE Health Empowered by AI Launchpad. We have 3 tracks. So we have the clinical track, we have the operation track, we have the analytics track. So to answer your question, I think it's really about the use case. So also about the maturity of the technology. So you can look at different framework. Gartner has a framework. It looks at can't even recall, but one is how likely is it to work and what's the impact. So first thing is impact. Impact means how many patients you can you reach. For example, if you have AI that do, for example, pancreatic cancer prediction, I think it's quite impactful, but the number of patients with pancreatic cancer is not that many. But if there's something more for colon cancer or lung cancer, these are actually more impactful. So we may prioritize that. Next is the maturity of the technology. How much time do you need to wait? So of course, we will favor those that wait. So there are many different criteria. So to answer your question, I think it's not an easy question. A lot of times in real life is who has the biggest rank, who has the biggest voice. So unfortunately, in healthcare, we call this eminence-based medicine. So the professor with the most eminence will actually get the pet project done because the funders will fund based on track records. So a lot of AI is actually based on the track record. So things that are usually done, you look at the literature now, mostly is in eye, because the eye, I didn't share an example, the eye one actually has 10 years history. So what they did is, it's called Selena, can Google it. So Selena, what they did is when it first started, is 2 eye doctors. Then they move into 1 eye doctor and 1 GP or a family doctor. Then they move into 1 eye doctor and 1 lay person. And finally, it's become AI. So it's step by step, the trust is built so that there's some safeguard in case things don't work out. So it takes very long. So look at any of the literature, the use case for AI currently now is image processing. So in radiology, the X-ray, CT scans, in the eye, because they have eye images, and pathology when you look at the tissue cells for cancer. These are the main use. The rest are not so well used. LM is quite new. I mean, it's only started last year. So I think there isn't much there. So I hope that answered the question.
Thanks, Dr. Gary. Just as a follow-up, but how do you prevent the likelihood of like overhype? Because if that's the case, someone with the biggest voice can just say, okay, invest in this project. Then how do you actually use AI to tackle an actual need?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think it's really about the some governance need to be there. So what we do is we try to balance the committee that decide. So you have a physician, which is okay, there are 2 types of doctors, maybe 3 types. One is the surgeon. Surgeons are the one that operate, one is the physician. Okay, this is a joke. So physician are one who think, surgeons are one who do. Okay, there are others. So anyway, get a multidisciplinary, a multi-specialty type of committee to make sure that whatever is being promoted is something that is useful and not just the pet topic of one surgeon or one physician. So there are some ways you can balance it. So we need a team. It's not just doctors also, so nurses also. So in our team, we have nurses, pharmacists, physio, occupational therapists, medical social worker. Because the use case need to be something that everyone agrees is important. So it's not just one doctor or one surgeon. Yeah. Any other question? You know, look through the chat.
I think the chat got no questions so far. I was looking through. There's a lot of comment on the lottery. That's the
yeah.
national interest.
Okay, I don't think you can do that. So anyway, they always say past return does not predict future returns. But actually, there's a caveat. It's actually the best way to postulate the future returns based on past return, though it doesn't predict it. That's why it is, yeah. Yeah. Any questions?
Feel free to ask question. You can type it also. Don't be shy. Actually, it's your best chance. You don't normally get the medical doctor, public health, and public sector person to answer your question. So quiet, so shy. You can ask question related to your GBA as well. What you have something in mind, you can test it out whether it works or not.
Can I just ask a curious question? Like, I know that in Singapore there's 3 different the sort of like medical groups that's governing the nation. So you know, you talk a bit about like that when you want to adopt AI, right, it's also important to have such collaboration. Right? I'm just curious whether do you all share resources among the three groups, or are you all developing AI separately?
Okay, so this is a very political question. So, okay, so for those who are not sure, okay, basically Singapore have three different clusters. We used to have six. Actually started with two, then three, then six, then three again. So we have, for me, I'm for National Healthcare Group. So we are part of the central and northern part. This is where we are. There's a east side. East side is a SingHealth, Singapore Health Services, and the west side is National Health System. So to answer your question, I think there's collaboration because right now we are adopting some of the things that's being used by National Health System. So we are adopting two of their models. One is the fall prediction and one is the length of stay prediction. So there is some collaboration between the two clusters. So there's also three medical school. So we have the traditional National University Singapore, the medical school there. That is with National University Health System. And you also have the Duke NUS, which is a graduate medical school, which means you study your degree first, then go for MD. Anybody interested, you can go for MD, medical degree, 4 years course, post-grad after your first degree. That's with SingHealth. And we have the NTU or Lee Kuan Yew School of Medicine, which I just came from. So that is actually the West School. So we have three schools, three clusters. So so what MOH does is MOH wants to have innovation. So we don't really force them to work together. But at the same time, there's this thing called the Health Innovation Grant or Fund, I think. I think it's a Health Innovation Fund, if I'm not wrong. So anyway, that fund, right, if you have two clusters involved, they'll cover 90% of the cost. If you only have one cluster, then you cover 80% of the cost. So there's an incentive for you to find a partner. And the things are, the healthcare system is actually quite a small circle. So usually they have friends, because some of these, they actually work together when they were junior doctors. So they actually know each other. So there's both rivalry and frenemy. So where there's rivalry, sometimes we also work together to publish. So that's why I think to answer the question, I think there's some collaboration. But of course, we understand that there's also some competition. But again, if there's no competition, there's no improvement, right? Just like if you have even one assignment that everybody work on a team assignment, then your professor cannot give you a grade, right? Because everybody works together, then everyone gets the same grade, cannot be, right? So that's why you also have different group work, individual work to have some competition to see who stand out. You can't have everyone dean's list, right? Okay. Very quiet group. Okay.
Yeah, they are usually quite shy.
Okay, there's one who raised hand, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please unmute. Yeah, you're still.
Dr. Gary Ang. Yeah, I just want to ask, do you think it is like necessary to have a human in the loop in the diagnosis, prescriptions, treatments, or even like doing surgery using AI in the doctor? Then another question is that do you think in the Singapore context, it is advisable to let the patient choose whether they want to have a human alternative instead of AI, like what the US has implemented?
Okay, first question, human in the loop. So human in the loop is part of responsible AI use. And anything, right? Ultimately, a human have to make a decision because you see a doctor, you don't see an AI. Just like you come to class to listen to a human, to a professional, you don't come to listen to a ChatGPT, right? You can actually get all this knowledge from ChatGPT. But there are two things that is problematic if you use ChatGPT to learn. One is actually quite formulaic, and some of the information may not be correct. I would say about 90% is correct. And lastly, it doesn't have any personal experience to share. Because a lot of times you must differentiate between knowledge and skill. What's the difference? Knowledge is what you learn. Skills is how you apply. So in theory, I say get a team. Sounds simple, right? Get a team. In real life, get a team. Cannot get the dates. Cannot get people to agree. Then you don't want to have a team. So in theory, someone mentioned you have three clusters work together. When you really try that, first, you can't get a date. Second, you can get a date. They don't want to agree. They have different ways of doing things. Then you're just wasting your time. So in theory, you should have a multidisciplinary team, but in real life, you can't do that. Hope that answered the first question. So human in the loop is important because this is a person who made a decision. You cannot just use the AI because this is something that we don't want. You call it augmented intelligence rather than artificial intelligence. Because at the end of the day, the AI is there to help you like a tool, like a calculator. Yeah, so you must have the human to press correctly. Otherwise, calculator will give you rubbish. Okay, your second question, I think I missed it. What's the second question? Getting old already.
Oh, okay. The second question is, do you think in the Singapore context it
Okay.
is like advisable to let the patients choose whether they want to have human alternatives instead of having AI to serve them?
Okay, so this is part of your, I'm working on this thing called responsible AI, if you can go and Google it. So responsible AI, one of the things is transparency. Transparency means that I will need to tell you whether the AI is being used or not. Okay, that's number one. So after knowing that AI is being used, you should, as a consumer, has a right to say no. So I mentioned about Notebuddy. So Notebuddy is something similar to the one I shared in the video. So you can supposed to take the notes. But if the patient is uncomfortable, don't want to share the notes, he can say, no, I don't use Notebuddy. I want the usual system. So this is something that you can always choose. I think we always want people to choose. It's just like, you know, when first ATM came about, not sure, I think you're too young. But when first, even I'm too young, when first ATM came out, right, everyone was complaining, why would you want to use a machine? You want to see a human? Why if the ATM give out the wrong number? Why if the ATM eat my card? So they're not very happy to the ATM. But right now, if a banker calls you to ask you to go to the branch, I think everybody say, I'm not free, don't want. You rather transact using ATM or internet banking, right? So things will change. So it's a trust. First, must trust that the ATM machine will not give you the wrong number. You must trust that the internet banking is safe. Okay, of course, the scammer, but let's take a step aside. So make sure that the numbers transact is accurate, and there's any mistake, you can call, you can send email, and this will be rectified. Then people will use it. Otherwise, you still go to the bank to the branch to actually do it. Yeah. So I think giving people a choice is an important thing, and also it's being responsible, because there are people, for example, the elderly or people who don't trust the AI. Then you still want it to be done. But actually, a lot of times you realize when you see a doctor, right? A lot of times there are a lot of guidelines, things like that, and the doctors may not be fully familiar with the latest guidelines because it's too much to know. So the AI can be there to kind of like reference what are the latest guidelines. For example, during COVID, MOH been saying like 50, 60 circulars on how to manage COVID. So how many days to quarantine, how many, all these things are actually quite standard. Why do you want a doctor to tell you all these things? Because all these are quite standard. For example, for quarantine, it'll be 2 weeks, then we got 7 days, then I think it's 5 days now, then or something is until your test is negative. So all these things keep changing. So to expect a doctor to remember every single thing and not make a mistake is quite dangerous. But what the doctor can do is understand why is this, why is there a drop from like 2 weeks to 7 days? It's because our studies have shown that the infectious period drops, so the risk comes really down. And if you have vaccination, then the spread will be much lower. And as time passed by, you realize that the spread is also important because people are already vaccinated. So even there's a spread is considered as a low risk or is a susceptible risk, so as not to kill off the economy. So things keep changing. So to answer your question, I think we do have the right to choose the AI, but at the same time, as time passes by, if you don't realize it, sorry, if you apply for a job, right, sometimes they're using AI to actually vet your resume. There are people who say that they send a resume, we need 5 minutes rejected. And it's an automated message. Thank you for considering. We have an overwhelming candidates, so we are not able to proceed with your application. So they're already using AI. So it's just not being done in a very transparent manner. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, so maybe we take last two questions. Treasure your chance. I think Rajiv have a comment. Dr. Gary Ang's presentation, yours provided me with lots. Oh, that's a private comment, sorry.
Oops.
Okay, good.
Maybe you can share with me what is the assignment, so I can give some tips on the assignment.
Okay.
Assignment, I didn't see, sorry.
I will share the slide, but high level wise is fictitious. They are going to design a health system and policy that is for a fictitious nation, so they can first define what this country is, because in one of the course we actually teach them about 6 political system, right? So you have the China type, you have the Singapore type, you have the Malaysia/Brunei type, right? So different political systems, things are done differently, for sure, right? So come up with a fictitious nation, define the political system or nature of your selected nation. Then you need to collect data through wearables, right? How do you get patient consent, trust, and all those things? And design something, present, assuming you are the one of the member, you can even assume yourself to be the Minister of Health, present it to Parliament if that's under a political system, or present to the king, depending on your political system, get a buy-in, and how do you actually get the public trust when you roll out? Yeah. So that's high level of it. Anyone want to test your idea? The best chance you can do it.
Okay, so there's this thing called path dependency. I'm not sure we have covered this. So path dependency means that whatever policy, whatever political system comes is because of certain issues. So I always talk about the NHS system, that is the beverage system. It's because of the Second World War. After the Second World War, a lot of people was crippled, a lot of people was injured, a lot of people had trauma. So they will be a bit more concerned about how to rehabilitate the nation. So the UK came out with a free system, free from point of care, and that's how it came up with the beverage system. Then there's a B4 system. That's a different system, much older in Germany. That's when people were actually employed by employers, and employers come up with employer-sponsored insurance that later on become a national insurance system. So how the system comes about going different. So to answer the question, how you do this depends on how it came about. For example, in Thailand, they still have a monarchy system, and then this monarchy system actually has become more of like a figurehead, then the main government is by the prime minister. So how they come out of this is over because of politics and history. So how the nation responds to any policy will really depend on how the current system is being evolved. Yeah, so some of these countries have more violent revolution, then people may be more okay to drastic changes. But in general, change is difficult. Yeah, so I hope that helps. Yeah, so I see that already. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm presenting a question. So I think for those who attended today's class, because Dr. Gary, not everybody needs to attend class in SUSS, right? So actually our total class is 28 people. So today is probably half of the class, but usually people who attend class for the past 5 lectures, they get tips, especially on their assignment. Right, so same thing, we have been giving tips. So for example, if you read this question, it never say you need to say what political system, just name it yourself, right? But of course, every political system is very different, like you also mentioned, right? And we have already touched them. So definitely you don't want to have a general answer, right? And it is better that you set the stage correctly. Then you can justify. Imagine you're presenting to your minister, or you're the minister presenting to the king or the parliament, right? You need to sell your systems or your policy, right? So in this case, the group-based assignment, which they will need to record a video, right? Imagine they are presenting, right? The government is considering to implement a public health management system, PHMS, powered by AI. The system will collect data on citizens' health information, right? Sounds like Health Hub or Healthy 365, right? Vaccination history, medical history, including chronic conditions, activities levels, sleep patterns, tracked by wearables and fitness trackers, as well as anonymized location data, right? For contact tracing, promote public health initiative. The data will subsequently be used by AI to identify potential health risks, predict outbreaks, and to personalize health recommendation, right? The team is tasked to develop a plan and present to the health minister and other government leaders. In your presentation, you have to show the benefits of having this system, explain how AI can leverage, appraise the possible risks and challenges, right? Propose how these identified risks and challenges can be mitigated, and propose a strategy to promote the adoption to the citizen. Yep.
Okay, thanks. I think this is an interesting question. I think Singapore is a model. Actually, we do have a lot of data, and all this data is actually okay. So basically, to get data, there are 2 ways. Actually, 3 ways. Okay, first way is carrot. So in Singapore, if you do join the national step challenge, you get a free watch. For me, I joined the HRSG, so I get a free Fitbit. So this, to get a Fitbit, you must wear it, and to wear it, the data. So the data is easy. This is called the carrot. There's a stick. The stick is, if you don't submit your vaccination data, you cannot enter any place. I'm sure you remember, right? For you to enter certain places during COVID, they actually have this. So it's a stick. You don't have it, you don't have the vaccination proof, you will not be able to enter certain places. So there's a stick. So no carrot. So it means that you don't do it, you'll be punished. So for example, if you okay, not sure anyone went to South America, yellow fever. So some places you need to have yellow fever vaccination. So very simple. No vaccination, cannot go. So this is need to have proof of vaccination. So you can use the stick method. So I think this is the 2-way things. Then of course you can use nudges. You can say that 80% has submitted the data. Then if you are the one who never submit data, you want 80% submit, actually submit also. So these are some ways you can passively nudge people to submit the data. So this I hope that is useful. These are some ways I can think of. And then the rest, I think you kind of covered. Otherwise, you can just think of the usual, the biases, the data leakage. So if you Google, actually, there was a huge data leakage in Singapore by not NHG, but somebody else. I'm not going to say no, you can just Google it about data leakages. And because of data leakages, what happened was that we separated internet. So in the past, when you're in the healthcare system, there's no internet. Wow, that's very bad, no internet. If you want to search for any guidelines, no internet. Yeah, so that's because of data leakage. I mean, the best way to prevent any data leakage is to ban the internet. Yeah, so you can read about that. Then these are the risks, the challenges, also the buy-in. First thing is get people to understand. But how do you get everyone to agree? So you must understand the way you do things is very simple. In any things you want to do, there'll be people who want to do it. So people want to do it, let them do it. Okay? There are people who don't want to do it. Don't force them. People don't want to do it, let them opt out. So don't touch them. Then those will be more or less in the middle. So they will, over time, they will actually go in. Then once everyone goes in, only left those who never join, right? Then this will be the one, then you say you have to join now because 80% join. Yeah, so this is how you push through things. Okay, some people always focus on the 5-10% who don't want to join. Then you're actually wasting too much time because you must understand when you change anything, right? You cannot have 100% at one shot. You always have people who don't want to join, don't understand, don't know how to join or what. So you have to just slowly get them in eventually. Just an ATM machine. If people have to ask the last person to use the ATM before they launch ATM, you never launch ATM. Yeah, the pager also. If you ask people, there are people who don't want to use handphone, they don't want to use pager, but you have to just over time, you'll be all gone. Very few people use pager now. You realize, I think no more already. So things will change, but change is slow. There will always be people who stick to the old way of doing things. Yeah. I hope that's helpful. But I can't tell too much, otherwise I'm doing your assignment. And this is just some of my own thinking. Yeah.
Very
Okay.
good tips already. I think they benefit a lot. Okay. Any last question? Take the chance. Give you the last chance. Who wants to ask the last question?
AMA, ask me anything. You can ask me stock also or total number.
Or any medical concern you have.
Yeah.
Free
Or
doctor.
career advice, anything. Really nobody.
Okay. No worries. So anyway, thanks Dr. Gary. Thank you very much for all the sharing. And I think just now you share about the carrot and all those things really probably give them some good tips in their assignment already, right? And yellow fever in South America. Right. So thanks for having joined this one, deliver a very good presentation. I think Rajiv also sent me a private message that it really helps a lot in the GPA. Right. Thanks for that. So yep. Maybe I also just give a concluding remark, right? Because we already have 12 chapters, 2 assignments done and left with the last group assignment, and then 12 chapters, 6 sessions. Tough for some of the people because it's 7 to 10 p.m. Some of them are working as well, right? So congrats for completing this course, right? Left with the last assignment, do your peer review and all those things. And then, yeah, you'll complete. I believe all of you should be able to pass. 2 assignments gone. Some did very well, right? Some probably need to back up a little bit more, but I don't think anyone should fail. So please do a good job for your GPA. Ask me any question you have. Then if not, then good luck to your other exams and assignments and wish you a good graduation. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, everyone. Whoever have further questions, you can stay back or stay back for a while more to answer any questions that you have. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Dr. Gary.
Okay, so you can drop if you have no questions and have a good rest. Okay, if you have further question, just ask me. Okay, I think there's a question. Just confirm the GPA, we can create a condition for a fictional country. Yes, that's why I say it's important because everything is possible, right? So if you leave it so broad without setting a stage is very important always, right? Then you know, because you set a stage, example is a Singapore-like country, it's a Malaysia-like country, right? Then the political systems, the situation, just now I gave you a framework of PESTEL, right? So some of this, when you set the stage, then you can design your system / policy and your strategy accordingly, right? That will help to I wouldn't say constraint or limit, that will help you to put your thing, your assignment and your setting, right? So that you can answer it and be very convincing justifying that. Yeah. Okay. So Rajiv, I hope that answered your question. Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question regarding the implementation portion. I'm just wondering how extensive do we have to share this policy about? So like how technical do we have to go? Like do we have to talk about the kind of models we want to use, data models for the implementation of because the whole assignment is talking about building the PHMS system powered by AI. So I'm just wondering, do we have to go very technical into like, is it use deep learning, use all these kind of models that would it help? Yeah. Or is
Yeah.
it like just really about like how we're gonna implement it in a policy setting?
Yeah, because again, this is not a technical course, right? Although some of you are from School of Science and Technology, but it's more AI in public administration under School of Political Science, right, and Humanities. So it's definitely not technical. I'm not looking for all the technicality of the system implementation, but more the strategy to implement it. Yeah. So definitely not the technical side, but the strategy side of doing that. And we have covered quite a few examples in our course, right? To say that, okay, you probably want to use focus group to get inputs. You probably have AI to do social listening, right? So some of these keywords you can actually use and then justify your strategy. Yeah. Hope that answered your question. Samuel, right? Was it Samuel?
Yeah, can.
Okay. Okay, so any more question? Okay, I think should be pretty clear. So thank you everyone again. Thanks, Gary. Right. I'm going to end the session and good luck to everyone. Okay. Thank you and have a good rest. Good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.